They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Welcome to the SlashLot 605. I am Sam the Damned Lenz, the Flava Flav of this podcast.
That's how we're starting this, huh?
That's how we're starting it. You put the idea in my head. I'm carrying it out. I am joined today by my co-hosts, Casey, the Killer Kelderman. How are you doing today, Casey?
Hey, what is up, Flava Flav?
And Blakenstein Ginithan. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Blake, did you find out the question that we were trying to...
The answer, her name was Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
Yeah,
okay.
Pumpkin in New York. Yeah. And there's also Hoops and Buck Wild was the other one. That was a big one. Flavor of Love Girls. We were talking about before.
Wonderful.
Thank you for tuning into the official Flava Flav podcast.
Well, today in SlashLot,
Is that what we do?
Flava Flav and his co-host.
We're slashing ideas off the show.
We are going to be doing what, guys? What are we doing today? I forget.
We're talking about Flavor of Love for about an hour.
Yeah, son, what are you
Flavor
doing?
of Love.
Yeah.
Oh, and the best horror movies of 2020, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
The best horror of 2020 that was not the actual year itself.
Yeah, exactly.
All of our number ones are just 2020.
My number one's Surviving.
Wait, your number one is...
We should make a top 10 list of the best worst moments of 2020.
I mean, they were
Tiger King makes the list.
Well, they were all topped last week.
2021 outdid 2020.
Good Lord. Hold my beer, 2020.
But anyways, if you're listening to this, we hope you're well, and we hope that 2021 is at least treating you somewhat fairly, and we hope that we can bring a little bit of levity and joy to an otherwise kind of just okay garbage fire.
Just a wild year already.
So, all right. We're going to start off, as we always do, with our fresh meat.
Fresh meat.
Blake?
Oh, I'm just taken back by that person who said fresh meat. Yeah, what's up?
We don't have sound effects. I have to do.
Oh, is that you? I thought you pushed a button and it played.
That was really good. Casey.
Yeah,
I thought that was
yeah.
We're not.
I was shocked.
Saying that
Yeah.
and making a button.
Wow.
Why can't I just do it when I'm on the show?
Oh, yeah.
No, it was.
That too,
What
that
we're
too.
saying is it was so good
It was-
that I
you thought it
thought
was
you
a
pushed.
button.
I literally thought you
Yeah.
pushed a button, and
Yeah.
you're that Jackie guy from the Howard Stern show or something. So I'm. Yeah,
That's
wow.
actually just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay.
The first one. I wasn't here last month, so I was at the same Krampus screening you were at the State Theater.
Yes.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Late night, almost midnight showing of Krampus. I think it was the week before Christmas.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Audience ate it up. I don't care for the movie, but the showing was fun. And I'm glad I went to that.
Yeah.
I saw a movie called The Reflecting Skin, which is on the Criterion Channel right now. It came out in 1990. I don't want to say too much because the joy of this movie is sort of experiencing it, but it takes place in like the 40s or 50s. It's about this young boy who it's kind of a coming of age story about this young boy who's experiencing some hardships in his life, and he doesn't know what to make of it. And then he thinks that a vampire has moved in next door to him. It was shot in like the countryside of Canada. The movie's gorgeous. It's not totally a horror movie. And I don't want to spoil too much because it gives away sort of the genre, but like it's a really interesting movie. There's really no like structure to it. It's just it's more of like a fever dream. And it's like it's one of Viggo Mortensen's first movies. He plays the older brother. I recommend that if you have the Criterion Channel. It's a really, really fascinating movie. Doesn't quite work totally for me, but whenever a director tries something different, I'm all for it. And this movie is wildly different than 99% of horror movies I've seen. So I recommend that. I have a couple more. I finally saw George Romero's Martin, which I've wanted.
That's not the one that they just recovered. Right?
No. Martin's been out for decades. It's about this young man who thinks he's a vampire, and he goes around sort of like stalking his victims, and then he'll do like he'll like bite their wrists, and then when to like sort of cover up the crime scene, he'll slit their wrists, with a razor and make it look like it was a suicide. It's very, very low budget, so you got to kind of stick with it a little bit in terms of like quality wise. Like it's pretty cheap, but like there's the score to the movie is feels like it's decades ahead of it. It felt like God, part of it felt like it was like Tenet mixed with like Johan Johansson stuff, like sound design score. Really, really cool stuff. There's some great sequences where like he's stalking this couple in a house, and it's like a wife having an affair with a friend. So they can't, like, the guy's like, we can't call the police because they can't know I'm here. So they can't really like call for help because he doesn't want the affair to be discovered. And so he like Martin's, which is interesting because like Martin's technically the bad guy, even though he's the main character, but he's like stalking through the house, and there's a lot of really cool stuff in it. And this, so I'm glad I saw this because I've seen like the trailer and stuff, and it's never really been like, oh, I gotta rush out and see this. But like I'm glad I watched it because it's really, really good, and for me just solidifies that George Romero is one of the god filmmakers of horror.
Yeah. Where did you watch that one?
Oh, I think I rented it somewhere.
it?
Yeah, I can't remember where. And then I watched a movie that is like adjacent horror, and I'll talk about it in my honorable mentions because it just came out this past year, and it's like borderline horror but not horror. So
is it one that we saw together?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking about bringing that one up.
I saw that one too.
Yeah. Okay.
We're talking about Promising Young Woman.
Yes, we're talking about Promising.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that, but we are talking about that.
We are talking about that.
It's phenomenal.
It's very good.
It is.
It's seriously, it's probably my favorite movie of 2020. I know I say that.
Yeah.
But like,
no, it's good. It's a ride.
I think about like what movies I've seen this year, and Promising Young Woman is the one that just stands out in my mind absolutely the most.
Yeah, I think every few years there's like a movie. Like, I think I like Carey Mulligan more than the movie, if that makes sense. I guess my point is like every few years there's a movie that comes out that's good, but like the lead performance is just so magnetic that it sort of like lifts the boat, right, with the rest of everything. Yep. And I think that's this movie for me, where like I really enjoyed the movie and there's a lot of great stuff in it, but like Carey Mulligan's so good that it's just like if this came out like 10 years ago, this would be like the movie that like put her on the map. Although I kind of feel like that Carey Mulligan still doesn't get the respect that she deserves. So this might be a star-making performance, even though she's been around for a decade now. So
right, yeah.
To me, it feels like Jake Gyllenhaal with Nightcrawler. Like he is so magnetic, and Nightcrawler lifts everything up. Yep. Like even in that, like he has a great supporting cast too. Promising Young Woman does too, but it's that lead performance where you're going to the bank with that.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So,
but not a horror movie.
Not necessarily a horror movie, but
black comedy maybe.
Yeah.
Which teeters into horror territories from here and there. So.
I mean, it's definitely got some horrific elements.
Yeah. There's one sequence in general I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a black comedy revenge thriller.
Yeah.
A little bit of a trigger warning, but also, I mean, highly recommend that you go see Promising Young Woman. And Yeah.
And it's got our boy Bo Burnham.
And don't like read anything about it because
go into it as
in
blind
fact
as
I wouldn't
possible.
even watch the trailer, which is like one of my 10 commandments. Don't watch the trailer, but yeah, I mean we all three of us went to it last weekend, and you had seen it before, Sam.
Yeah,
Casey and I hadn't, and all of us were just like, geez, that was a lot of fun.
That's a movie to talk about.
Yeah.
And it packs a punch even on a second viewing, I can assure you.
And it's like it's a Me Too movie without being like men suck or men are terrible. There's good guys in the movie. Clancy Brown is like a really great father figure who really cares about his daughter, and it's great to see Clancy Brown like really dial it back, which I love. 100 Clancy.
Right.
What's his Clancy Brown? Is that yeah. Sorry,
We'll get to 100 Clancy Brown in this show.
Yeah, and so like I love that he is just there being like, just like the dad.
He feels like a dad.
Yeah. Like
same as his wife in the movie.
Jennifer
yeah, she's great too. And this is gonna sound weird. My favorite scene with Clancy Brown is where they're watching the movie and he's sleeping on the couch, because that was my dad watching movies. He was just like, he's like, hey, we watch a movie, like, yeah, and like 15 minutes and he's just like passed out, mouth open, like. So he reminded me of my dad quite a bit watching that movie.
That's awesome.
Sam, do you want to go? You want me to go?
I can certainly go. I've got mine pulled up. So Blake kind of talked about that. I talked about Promising Young Woman. I recently watched the old Boris Karloff movie Isle of the Dead.
Isle
of the Dead. Yeah, it's a slow burn psychological thriller that's set back in like World War II. And Boris Karloff plays a general who would do anything to keep his troops safe, and that includes like he essentially is known as a very harsh commander who essentially commands soldiers who make mistakes that could endanger the rest of the troop to kill themselves. So it starts off with him literally doing this to one of his men, and it's dark for a movie from 1945. Meanwhile, there's this plague going on, and he goes off to this island for some reason. I can't even remember. I watched this like earlier towards late December, so I can't quite remember exactly how he gets to this island, but he essentially finds himself in this building with a group of strangers, and this plague has come upon them. And what they end up thinking is that one of them is a vampire. And that's what the plague is. And so it's really about like the psychological duress that he goes through. And it's got some
sounds incredible.
Yeah, it goes to some truly dark places. And Boris Karloff is amazing in here. I mean, he comes unhinged in this movie. And it's got some great creepy visuals and a jump scare in the third act that genuinely got me. Like I don't know what it was, but like it just, the way it built, I was expecting it, and it still, when it came, it got me up. Like I was like, oh my God. Not the movie to watch right before bed. I had weird dreams for the rest of the night.
Where'd you see this at?
I bought it.
Okay.
It was like one of the $5 movie sales on like Vudu or something. So
this is gonna sound sacrilege, but this is prime for a remake. And I mean that in a good way. Like I want to see this, but like this just sounds like you get someone who like Scorsese, who made like Shutter Island, and make it in that vein. Like real, but like fantastical in a way where you don't know what's real or not. Like
it brings in like Greek mythology to
this
it
sounds
too.
really
like,
cool.
It's a very unique movie, and I highly recommend it. It's like I said, it's a slow burn. It takes some time getting to what it's getting to, but when it gets to it, it's like, oh damn, like this movie means business. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. And that's pretty much it for me. I rewatched Gretel and Hansel in prep for this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I might.
I just remember another movie that I watched, but I'll let you finish.
Yeah. I rewatched it because this movie is so weird because I feel like there was a genuinely great movie trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I love Oz Perkins. But it's just such a drag, man.
It's so slow.
He's got a style. Yeah.
It's in my honorable mentions. I didn't care for the movie, but visually, I think it is an incredibly great looking movie. And the performances are really great, but it's just for an hour and a half, it feels like I'm sitting there for 3 hours waiting for something to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, I like the parts that I like. I think Alice Krige is fantastic. I nominated her for a Schmucky.
Which is a great choice for supporting actress.
For supporting actress. I mean, and Sophia Lillis is every bit the star that you saw in the It movies. And I love The Black Coat's Daughter. I think that movie is fantastic. But Gretel and Hansel just doesn't work for me. I
need to see it yet.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess this is me kind of spoiling an honorable mention, Casey, because I had it sort of in mind too.
That's all right.
But I was just I don't know. I just rewatched it. I had some thoughts. I wanted to talk about it a little bit.
It was one of the few new movies I got to see in theaters this year. So I at least give it props for being that.
Yeah, and I'm glad I saw it in theaters because it was a cool experience. But it has some issues that drag it down as a whole. But I mean, it's definitely worth checking out, Blake. And
I'll have to do that. Is it streaming anywhere right now?
It just got added to Amazon Prime.
Perfect.
I think it might be on Hulu too.
Yeah, generally those two go hand in hand. So.
All right, and that's all I've got. So.
Sweet. So I'll hop off that into another 2020 movie I watched. I watched The Pale Door, which I was really looking forward to. Aaron B. Kuntz, who did Scare Package earlier this year. I don't know if we'll talk about it or not on anyone's list. I think it's a really fun movie, really fun horror anthology. And I was really looking forward to this when I came across it when I talked to him about Scare Package. But yeah, this is like a similar setup to like Robert Rodriguez's From Dusk Till Dawn, but basically takes place in the Old West. And it's about this like group of cowboys that come across this girl who they thought was like they were trying to find this like treasure or a bunch of gold or money or whatever. Instead, they find this girl and she says, "Well, I can help you out. You have to bring me back to my village of where my people are, and we'll help you out and we'll pay you and everything." And so they get back to this village, and it turns out it's just a coven of witches that are in this. That's kind of the second act twist into this. But man, it unlike From Dusk Till Dawn, it just has no fun in what it's doing. Every scene and every character death is very melodramatic, which I'm like, in a tighter movie with better written characters, those types of scenes can work. But it's like, you're in a movie with cowboys and witches, have some fun. Like in From Dusk Till Dawn, they don't really linger on anyone dying. It's pretty fun when people die. This one is just like, oh my God, just get on with it. Move past someone holding someone in their arms. Like, let's move on with it. And it's one of those movies where the movie you come up with in your head when you hear the concept, you're like, that's a better movie in my head than what's put on screen, which is unfortunate because, like I said, Scare Package is one of the better horror movies this year. And I was really looking forward to this. This one just didn't work for me.
It surprises me that this one takes such a dark route
tone
when it's by the guy who did Scare Package, which I mean, I love Scare Package. But it's like, it's a zany, goofy, I mean, it's a lot of fun. And so I was kind of expecting Pale Door to be the same. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Pale Door yet, but that bums me out a little bit because I like Westerns and I like horror. And when they get mashed together, that seems like I don't know. Why don't we see more Western horror? We really should.
Because no one makes Westerns
probably
anymore.
Westerns.
True. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I feel like much of the it's too big of a cast to have any connection with anyone when they're dying. You know, it feels like you should have focused on 2 characters, not 7 or 8, when you're trying to get emotional, arcs out of everyone.
Yeah.
Next one is one we've talked about before back in Killer Countdown days.
Yeah.
I finally watched The Final Girls.
Oh, yeah, all right. I want to hear about this.
Oh my god, yes. What did you think?
Yeah, I finally one lazy Saturday. It was on might have been on Shudder, or it was streaming somewhere. I don't know. It's somewhere, but so I finally popped it on, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this movie rules. Yeah, this is everything I love about 80s slasher movies. Well, poking fun at them. Obviously, it's about this modern day group of kids that get trapped in an 80s slasher movie. I think the tropes that we all know and love are perfectly played with. I do think Adam Devine is just incredible in this movie as the
playing himself,
the douchey frat boy, aka himself.
The cherry picker.
One thing I give props for this movie for is skipping all the way to the end is that it has outtakes. Like any movie that still has outtakes in 2020 or 2017 when this came out is still that you get an extra star rating for me if you have outtakes in your credits, because no one does it anymore. These are legitimately funny. It's also has a great heart to it. And I think Sam's choice of the main final girl of this movie is a well-earned top 8 final girl.
The Betty Davis eyes sequence at the end is one of my top 5 scenes of the decade. Just it's so good.
I've never been able to listen to Betty Davis.
Me neither. I listen to them like, oh man, this is gonna make me cry.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an incredible scene. And then I love how it's like the end, like when they go it, like when the movie ends and they're in the sequel, it doesn't feel like it didn't feel cheap to me. It felt like
it never felt like they were going to make a sequel.
Yeah,
it just felt like that's the perfect.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, they got out in their hospital. I get it, like, and then it's like, oh, I never thought about them just falling into a sequel. I was like, oh hell yeah. I thought it was okay the first time I watched it, and then I've watched it a couple times since, and it's like this is a fun movie. Yeah,
it was one that grew on me for sure. Like the first time I watched it, I don't think I was expecting it to have the emotional aspect of it.
And I've never I feel bad saying it. I've never really rated Malin Ackerman as an actress, but she's really good in this. So it's almost like it feels like her character is almost her in this movie, where it feels like she's kind of getting this renaissance in real life. And then is it Tasia or Tasia
Farmiga?
Farmiga is just this is star making acting. Like why isn't she a bigger star because of this movie? But I'm glad you liked it, because I know when I hardcore recommend a movie, it's kind of like, God, I hope they like it. I really hope, and you care about their opinion, and so I'm glad you really enjoyed it.
And Taisa is kind of like one of the closest things we have to a scream queen for our age. Right now.
Sure.
I would 100% agree with
American Horror Story, The Nun, this, I think, she is one of, if not our biggest scream queen.
Also, say what you will about The Nun, but I love her in that.
She's good in it. She is good in it.
I'm gonna hold my thoughts on The Nun.
I like The Nun.
We'll wait till.
No, I love The Nun. I don't want to get into it because we have other fish to fry here.
Yeah, that's true. We gotta save it for our Conjuring episode.
We have to do it. We'll do a Conjuring episode. Thomas Middleditch is the closest thing we've ever gotten to Randy from Scream in this.
Yes, that is true.
I finished out the year with a kind of a horror comedy triple feature. One I will talk about in the top 10 of the year. But 2 I watched back to back: The Dead Don't Die and Zombieland Double Tap. Very different feelings of both of them. The Dead Don't Die did not work for me at all.
I love it.
The Dead Don't Die made my top 10 of last year.
Mine too.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it was in top 5.
I think me too, actually.
I adore this movie. I totally understand why people don't.
Me too.
But it just works for me on every level.
I think you either love Jim Jarmusch's Speed or you just don't.
And see, the only other Jarmusch movie I'd ever seen was Only Lovers Left Alive.
I've never seen that one.
Which I really like that one.
I do want to hear Casey's thoughts on this movie.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, Casey.
And then Sam and I will
I
tell you how
think
you're wrong.
a lot of the you'll be the positive notes. I think the performances are really good. I think Bill Murray is a lot of fun. He's having a lot of fun in this movie. Tonally, I don't think it really works at all. I don't understand what's going on. We were sitting there watching it, and Kayla was watching it too, and I'm like, and we had seen the trailer, last year when it came out, and we kind of wanted to watch it, but it just never got around to it. But yeah, zombie horror comedy is a perfect bag for both of us to watch. So we finally popped it on, and when they're talking about, well, didn't Jim send you the script? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What?
I love that reveal.
And I'm like, okay. And then an hour later, like, where are they not
that's the end of the movie where they say that.
They do it when the first 15 minutes of the movie they talk
do.
about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just remember
didn't you read the script or something like that?
No, it's the CD. It's like, well, don't you know this is the theme song to the movie?
To the movie. Yeah. I'm like, what is going on? And they never bring it up until the end. And they're like, okay, now we're totally in a movie. And
yeah.
That I don't know.
And then the UFOs show up.
UFO and
I mean, come on! You have Tilda Swinton as a Scottish mortician who's a ninja.
Yeah,
it's like,
and
what's going on in this movie?
Casey, this is literally like my 2019 Dishes movie.
And like the guy who plays Tex in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is in it with Selena Gomez, and they get destroyed. I loved all of
the zombies are rising out of the cemetery.
It's so good. That is such good filmmaking. Yeah. But having said that, I think I agree with all your points. It's definitely a WTF movie.
Oh yeah.
But I think you're either like I think you're
grumpy middle finger.
I think you're either in the first 15 or you're out. Like you're hardcore out. Yeah. And yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I love Jim Jarmusch movies, so I was in on this.
I also went into this completely blind, just because I liked Only Lovers Left Alive, and then I heard Jim Jarmusch, zombies, and I was like, Adam Driver, Bill Murray. I'm like, I'm
Iggy
in.
Pop.
I'm in.
Isn't Tom Waits in this too?
Yeah, Tom Waits.
Which he's in every single Jim Jarmusch. But
his character, I'm like, okay, what the fuck? What is going on with him? And
I want to watch this again now because
I went into this completely blind. Like Maria and I.
It is such a nihilistic movie.
Past West Mall one time, and I was just like, I'm pretty sure The Dead Don't Die is playing right now. And she's like, oh, we should go check it out. So we literally like stopped what we were doing in the middle of the day, blew off the rest of our plans, and went and saw a matinee of it. And I just walked out like,
what did she think?
That movie was amazing. She loves it.
Yeah.
But she also is a huge Adam Driver fan. So I think that like really.
Yeah. Man, the sequence where they're at the diner and the guy has to keep telling cars to like stop is so. It goes on for like 3 minutes, and he's just like, no, and it just keeps happening. Like I love stuff like that movie.
Go in to see the body, each person goes in.
Yeah,
Chloe Savini is so good, and I
think she is my big, not her, but her character is my biggest problem because it is so tonally dark.
Yeah,
everything that happens to her.
Gosh, I want to rewatch this now because I remember liking it quite a bit. But
this was a 4 out of 5 for me.
Nah, not quite that for me, but I really enjoyed it.
Selena Gomez is like movie star in this movie.
Yeah.
Sam is just Caleb Blanchard Jones in this movie.
Okay.
Is Sam.
It's so funny that you say that because when Maria and I were watching,
who is great in everything.
Caleb Landry Jones's character comes on in his little like gas station horror shop. And I leaned over to Maria. I'm like, I have had this exact dream on my vision board for years.
Who shows up as a UPS? Is it the RZA? Is the UPS driver?
Yeah.
Man, Casey, how do you not like this movie?
Oh my god, you got Steve Buscemi.
Oh my god, as a Trump dude, I was like, man, this movie is nuts.
So good.
Like this with 3 Billboards, like double feature would be bonkers.
Oh god, yeah.
Anyway, but starring Caleb Landry Jones.
Yes. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Anyway, sorry, Casey. I didn't mean to rain your parade.
A much better zombie comedy is Zombieland Double Tap, which I finally watched.
Very good.
It is very good.
I nominated Zoe Deutsch for.
She is so good in this movie.
Is this your first time watching it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I for some reason just had never watched it. Her
Ying to Jesse Eisenberg's Yang is just so good.
Her character is fantastic. It's the best.
When she pops up after dying, oh my god, I was in tears. It was so funny. Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was just as funny as the first one. I thought
it was
the first one.
I thought it was better than the first one personally, but
I think they're about on par.
Yeah, I do.
I thought the
Abigail Breslin is not good in this movie.
No.
But that's okay. That's fine.
I love what's
the Bill Murray stuff is dumb, and they only did it. They only did it because people.
I loved the Bill Murray stuff at the end.
Really, it's so bad.
Yeah.
I thought we're flipping on this one now.
Yeah. I loved Berkeley though. Berkeley was fantastic.
I love the Elvis stuff.
Yep. Everything with Rosario Dawson is amazing.
Isn't there a one-take action sequence in that? Yeah, that's really cool.
With Thomas Middleditch. And
yes, that's very good
I think
directing.
The action in this movie is just really good all across the board. Like it opens with a Metallica song. And
which one is it this time?
Going to the White House.
Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
Which is so great because I was literally air drumming in the back of the theater when I was watching this.
Yeah. So this and Zombieland I've watched at least a dozen plus times, and this will go in my rotation too as one of my favorite horror comedies. I loved it. I loved it. It was a nice palate cleanser from The Dead Don't Die.
You actually laughed at that one.
I thought, there was a real sense of danger at the end too. I genuinely thought Woody Harrelson
I didn't feel any damage.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
they're all gonna be all right. That's fine.
I don't know. I mean, that first time in the theater, I was really on the edge of my seat.
I remember the sequence where Zoe Deutsch dies, and I'm like, she better not be out of this movie. And thank God she comes back because
I know
she was a great addition to this cast.
Maybe I'm just too gullible, but I was pissed when that happened, and it took me out of the movie, and then she came back.
I thought she was dead.
I thought she was dead.
Oh, you guys actually did think she was
dead?
I didn't. They would have shown it in that type of movie.
I was like, nah. As soon as that happened, I was like, fuck this movie.
Yeah. And are we swearing on this podcast now?
I guess we
are.
I don't
Sorry.
Care.
No, I mean, he said it earlier.
I'm
the only person that hasn't done it yet, so.
Everybody gets one.
I thought it was just one per show.
Unless you
this is like Spider-Man on Family.
I don't want to swear in case my daughter grows up and listens to this someday. So she'll be like, "Who are those bad guys on your show, Daddy?" And I'll be like, "I don't know."
Just have her watch A History of Swearing, and she'll know that these words are actually just meant to oppress people.
What else did you watch, Casey?
Fucking right. Last one.
Casey just said the F word for me.
I did. Last one. Silent Rage. Yeah.
Is this a horror movie?
This movie. This is a total horror movie.
Okay.
I finally finished it. I watched.
Are you gonna pull that crap where it's like this is a slasher movie?
It is totally.
Oh my God! You're this guy over here.
You
thinks Mrs. Doubtfire's a slasher movie.
What? A little bit.
No, I was joking. I was joking. My point is that Casey thinks some weird movies are slashers just because he loves slashers.
It's about Terminator because Terminator is a slasher.
Okay.
This is my last show. I appreciate being on this.
Let me at least settle.
I should have stayed off
the plot for this movie at least because I watched half of it and I text Blake. I'm like, "You ever seen Silent Rage with Chuck Norris?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, I'm about halfway in. It is super slow. It is oddly paced. I will maybe finish it." So I finally finished it, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, this movie rules." It is
Google
about
does classify it as action horror.
Yeah.
Who does?
Google.
I don't. Well, we listen.
IMDb classifies it as action horror.
Okay. Okay.
So it's Chuck Norris obviously plays a sheriff. He never done that before. And is this guy who's escaped from mental institutes is going around killing people, slasher style. Norris takes him down. This guy ends up in
the knife in his boot.
This guy ends up in the morgue. Then the scientist takes this secret formula he's been working on that can kind of heal wounds and keeps injecting the guy with that.
Yeah.
So basically he becomes superhuman. So it's Frankenstein plus Michael Myers versus Chuck Norris.
This sounds pretty cool.
It is pretty awesome.
Like, my God, I need this movie now.
There is a sequence about about an hour or so into the movie, with the guy in the house after he's fully escaped and he's now fully juiced up, almost Terminator Michael Myers, with him in the house chasing these two people through the house. That is just very tense and terrifying. And the last kind of 15-20 minutes is Norris versus this guy, and it's just Norris just kicking ass against Michael Myers. Pretty awesome. Bunch of one takes in this movie. It opens with a one take through a house, Halloween style. The final fight is a lot of really long takes of Chuck Norris showing off his martial arts skills. So yeah, I think it is about 20-25 minutes too long. Could have cut off almost a half hour from it. But
so it's a 2-hour movie.
It's an hour 43. Should be an hour 20. At least.
Okay.
There's this. It's a lot of fun. I think if you guys can ever get a chance to watch this in a group, this is a perfect group movie. And then, the best way to describe it is Chuck Norris versus Michael Myers.
Has there been a Blu-ray release
of Silent Rage?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. Good question.
If there has been, I'm gonna buy it and we're gonna theater room this.
Let's do it. That is available to stream on Tubi, so if people want to actually watch it,
we can just stream it on Tubi in my theater room then. Oh no, it's got a Blu-ray.
Oh, it's got a Blu-ray release.
Oh god.
Oh, we are so doomed.
Unsilent Rage.
$10 on Amazon.
Sam is
$7.50 at Walmart.
Pull that trigger, Sam.
Oh, I'm going to. We're definitely gonna have a Silent Rage movie night sometime.
We gotta double it with something though.
Doing double dose of Chuck?
We could.
Good.
He's done like The Hero and the Terror. This is probably a similar movie. Or what's the movie he did with Louis Gossett Jr. in the 90s or late 80s? Gosh, they hunt like this decades old demon or something. I can't remember. Yeah, I gotta.
God, I need to watch
you guys,
Chuck Norris movie.
You guys move on with this, and I'll look it up.
That's my last one. I saved Chuck for last. I mean, I grew up with Chuck Norris. I watched Walker, Texas Ranger every day after school.
See,
but I've never.
Walker, Texas
me
Ranger
too.
But I never watched any of his movies.
Neither did I.
Oh, you guys!
I always thought he was just Walker. But
it's called Hellbound. Two Chicago cops investigate a murder until they encounter an ancient demon. It's not Louis Gossett Jr., but it's Chuck Norris.
All right, so we're doing a Hellbound and Silent.
Yeah, Hellbound rules.
It's
fun.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Yep.
You heard it here first. But that's my last one. So.
All right. So, as a little tidbit for you listeners, we will obviously at some point in the future be doing a Chuck Norris /Lot.
Yes, please.
Unprecedented.
Hey, we can do genre stuff.
Yeah.
Chuck falls in that.
Yeah. Genre. This is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Horror and horror adjacent. You can slash in thrillers.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a slasher movie with Chuck Norris.
Dope.
I'm so in.
I'm so excited for this. All right. Should we get to our main topic, guys?
Let's do it.
Yes.
How do we want to do this? Do we want to do this like the all-nighters where each of us do 10 and then 9 and then...
What I think we should do is like, let's say your number 10 is like my 5. We wait till my spots.
Yeah.
And then
Whoever's
we
got
talk
the
about it.
highest.
Yeah.
What Blake said.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
If one of us has it higher, just say,
yep. High. Yeah.
I got it higher.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sam, kick it off.
All right. My number 10 is one that I'm sure will cause a little controversy in this room. My number 10 horror movie of 2020 is Dave Franco's The Rental. I absolutely love this movie. When I was thinking about what movies made the most impact on me, I walked out of The Rental quite shaken, to be honest. And I understand why people don't like it. It is a little out there. It's more of a relationship drama in the first half of the movie, but I think the tension in that relationship drama transitions perfectly into the tension of the slasher movie that it becomes. I think having the killer have no motive and just being basically a random killing machine is terrifying. And I agree with the DVD cover quote it is Psycho for the Airbnb generation. I do not think it is as good as Psycho. Do not misquote me there, but I do think that it definitely made me think twice about Airbnbs, much like Psycho made me think twice about showering, much too. Yeah.
That's why I don't shower ever.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I just smell.
Yeah.
My coworkers have to deal
I
with
inconvenience you so I don't die. That's basically my motive.
So, yeah, I know this was not as loved by you two, but I genuinely dug this movie, and it is one that I will definitely be putting on multiple times in the future.
In my honorable mentions, I like it a lot. The more I think about it, the more it kind of like doesn't quite work well for me. Like I enjoy, this is like I'm like starting to create this category of movies where it's like I'm like a list of movies where it's like, okay, but what's next for this person? You know, like where it's like this is a really good try. Like I there's a lot of great like suspense sequences, and it's very well made, very well shot, very well acted. I think there's a great like sequence involving race that is kind of ignored by a lot of people, where it's maybe the fingers pointed at white people to like stand up for minorities in certain situations. And I think there's a great small sequence that doesn't hit you over the head, but still sort of like calls it out. I wish it was a little, I actually wish this was like 15, 20 minutes longer. I wanted more. I agree. Like it's cool that the killer, there's no motive or like reveal of the identity, but I still wanted more. Like it felt like this, like you said, it felt like there's one movie going like this, and then all of a sudden, like it's a car crash where another one comes in, and it's like it doesn't quite gel for me. Like I think there's like, and I like it. Don't get me wrong, I really liked it, but like I think this could have been a great movie, and I just wanted a little more glue to it. I do like the red herring of the. I don't want to. Well, we can spoil. This is people have seen these movies. I like the red herring of the guy, the manager who's running it.
Yeah.
Where you're like, all the signs point to him. I love that.
See the reveal where you find out. No, that's not who you're looking for.
Yeah.
That was the moment where that movie really got me in shit.
Yeah.
Dude. And it just didn't really let up from there.
Yeah. So I mean overall, like I'm really excited to see what Dave Franco does next. I hope he stays in the horror genre, honestly.
Yeah, I do too.
And who'd have thought he's a better director than his brother? So
yeah.
Now
that's coming from someone who really liked The Disaster Artist.
And that's coming from someone who did not like The Disaster Artist.
Two things: Disaster Artist is much better movie, and two, this slasher movie needed more Chuck Norris. That is all.
That's Casey's comment.
So Casey didn't like this movie?
It needed more.
We talked about it when we all watched it.
Yeah, we talked about it right before Dancing Spider.
Oh, okay.
I don't
remember. So.
Oh, I remember because like when you guys asked me to be on this, I'm like, yeah. And I get excited and I remember everything about it now.
Cool.
Sam remembers all.
I study it so I never forget. I'm just kidding. I'm not that creepy.
Should I go next?
Yeah.
Okay. My number 10 stars an actor who has a VHS tape on our table right now. It is Kevin Bacon. And you should have left.
Are you serious? That's amazing.
This movie, I watched the trailer, which I don't do generally for movies, but if I have like zero interest in a movie, I'll watch a trailer just to see what like I could potentially watch. So I watched this trailer and I'm like, this looks like crap. This is a straight to VOD. Like, I'm not watching this, and whatever. I was over at a friend's house and he's like, hey, we watch a movie, and I was like, sure. He's like, what about this one, the Kevin Bacon movie? And I'm like, yeah, let's watch this. Let's do it. And boy, the first 10 minutes are nuts. Yeah. Like they're insane. I believe I talked about it on the last time I was on, so I'm not going to relitigate like what happens. But
I talked about it on the last episode. I watched it.
Yeah. So this is a lot of fun. Like, Kevin Bacon is married to Amanda Seyfried somehow. I mean, I guess they're both hot, so I get it. But like, he's like 40 years older than she is. They have a kid together, or maybe she has a kid prior. I can't remember if it's theirs. Okay,
I think it's theirs. Yep.
Yeah, they're having some marital issues. She is shooting a movie in London, and they end up renting a house in Wales, I believe, and they're out in the middle of nowhere. And you sort of just know within the first 30 minutes, like, okay, this is how it's going to end. But I think the dynamics of like the story and the filmmaking really make it work, and it's very predictable, but Bacon's great, Seyfried is great, the girl actress is good.
Yeah.
And then the way the house sort of like shifts itself into like where like walls are longer and then doors disappear, things like that, like really work for me. Like I said, the reveal at the end is kind of like, okay, yeah, saw that coming. So
like
I wasn't
blown
away, but there's a great sequence where they decide to leave at night, and like it's that great moment where like they're walking for hours and then they're walking straight, but somehow they walk right back into their own house. Like I love stuff like that. So there's some stuff like that in there. Yeah, just like Kevin Bacon giving a great like, I don't want to say late career because we don't know where he is in his career, but like a later performance in his career. It's really good. Who wrote and directed this?
David Kep.
Yeah. Who's like
Secret Window.
Very hit and miss writer director, but here it hits for me. So yeah, my number 10.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did not expect this to be on anyone's list, to be honest. I liked it. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again.
Me neither.
But I did enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a good like Saturday night, like, fuck it, I'll put it on.
Yeah, exactly. So, I watched it on your recommendation, and I did rather enjoy this movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So perfect.
All right. My number 10. Since you brought up Mr. Kevin Bacon, I'm gonna throw it back to a movie he starred in, also sitting on our table.
Ooh.
Just Tremors, because my number 10 is Tremors Shrieker Island.
Wow.
I still need to see this.
This movie rules. That's all I gotta say.
Is this on Netflix?
It is on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't it get released to Netflix like literally the day of its release?
The day of its Blu-ray and VOD release. Yeah. Just all of a sudden it's like, yeah, Netflix has it on there. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I watched it. I think I don't want to spoil anything that happens in this movie, but I mean,
yeah, you're gonna ruin my day if you spoil this movie.
there is a big spoiler in this
okay,
movie, but all I'll say is this probably is the last Tremors movie.
Oh no, R.I.P. Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy is not in this movie.
Hence my R.I.P. comment.
Which is good, because the last two Tremors movies before this were not very good.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
No.
I love Tremors 1 through 4.
1 through 6, brother.
I can't do the Jamie Kennedy ones. Just don't work for
I
me.
get it.
It's Jamie Kennedy.
I get it. I get it.
Michael Gross rules in those movies, though. I think he is awesome in them. John Heder plays a much better comedic sidekick in this movie. I will take Napoleon Dynamite over Son of the Mask any day.
I love John Heder.
Yes.
I don't.
He is totally Hawaiian Napoleon Dynamite in this movie, which I am all for. Richard Brake plays the villain.
Oh my God, Richard Brake!
You can't get better than Richard.
Is it
Brake.
31 Richard Brake, or is it like a different Richard Brake?
No. It's wild, sleazy.
Like, yeah,
Rob Zombie.
we need to get Richard Brake and Christopher Walken to play like brothers in a movie or something. Like that'd be a movie.
Blake, I know you didn't watch the last season of The Mandalorian, but Richard Brake is in an episode.
I will YouTube it or something. I started watching the new season and I was anyway.
Okay, this is not Blake hating the Mandalorian podcast.
It could be.
So basically, the movie is as you expect it. Richard Brake has his own island that he is growing shriekers, graboids on.
This Dr. Moreau.
Yeah. And so rich people come out to his island,
Jurassic Park,
to hunt. It is Jurassic Park with
shriekers. And is there graboids in it too?
There's graboids.
Oh my God.
It goes through the whole life cycle. The ass blasters. It goes through the whole life cycle of all of them. But this basically leads to this other really close island saying, "Well, we got to stop this. Who are we going to bring in?" you bring in Michael Gross, you bring in Burt Gummer.
Yeah.
So Burt Gummer comes, and they're gonna take out the final shriekers that are out there. And this movie rules. It's so much fun.
Man, I want to see
you
this.
Have to watch.
Yeah, I love the Tremors series. Like they're not great movies, but like there's a certain heart to them. They remind me of Trauma in a way, where like it's more of it's the fact that they just want to continue this fun series. And Michael Gross, say what you want about Michael Gross, but like this guy commits to this series, loves this series, and just there's no like I'm here for the money because the character's been here forever, I'm just gonna come back. Like he digs doing these, and I dig watching these movies.
It's so strange that the probably fifth or sixth in the build character in the first movie is now the lead.
Yeah.
The last. What? 5, 6 movies. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. I would love to see them do a Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward.
I really want Fred Ward to come back. Yeah.
But I eventually want them at least to release that pilot that they shot with Kevin Bacon. I know it exists.
Supposedly it came online. Like
it exists somewhere. I would like that they put it on.
I'm gonna check the dark web when I get home.
Yeah. A box set with all the Tremors up to Shrieker Island with the unaired pilot. That would rule.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So yeah, that's my number 10, Tremors Shrieker Island.
Man, I'm surprised by that. Pleasantly surprised.
You have to have fun at 10.
Yeah.
That was my fun.
Hey, I did too.
Most of mine are fun. It was 2020. I needed fun, man. Like, there's not a whole lot of depressing stuff on mine.
I'll bring that for you. Don't worry.
So I guess that brings me to my number 9, which I just changed while you were talking about sequels. I was like, you know what? This movie brought me so much joy in a time that I needed it. And that movie, my number 9 horror movie of 2020.
I think I know what it
is Deep Blue Sea 3. Did you know what it was, Casey?
No, not the sequel I was thinking of.
Not the sequel you were thinking of. What sequel were you thinking of?
Honorable mention, we'll talk about it.
Okay. Deep Blue Sea is a fantastic...
Deep Blue 3, Sam.
Yes. Well, the original, the Deep Blue Sea, it's a killer countdown.
Inductee.
Yeah.
So is Santa's sleigh, but we don't talk about it.
We don't. Why do you keep bringing that up?
Yeah. Yeah, Brian.
I love Deep Blue Sea. I still haven't seen Deep Blue Sea 2 because I heard it was horrible. But I also heard that you didn't need to see Deep Blue Sea 2 to watch Deep Blue Sea 3, and I heard Deep Blue Sea 3 was actually pretty good. So I spent $15 on it, and oh my god, it was. And
all I got was this cool T-shirt.
No, it was amazing. This movie goes to some truly zany places. I mean, the like. This is the tone that the Meg should have been. I liked.
The Meg really screwed up.
I liked the Meg, but like, this is the tone I wanted from the Meg, because this goes like full in to the cheesy, over the top, it's a super smart shark type of thing. Like, there's a GIF going around now from this movie, and it's one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing. You know, you got the diver. He's getting ready to dive for, I don't know, whatever. I can't remember. Characters do things for no reason in this movie.
They do, he's probably going to die, yeah.
Yeah. And he's literally diving off the bow of a ship, and a shark just jumps out of the water and eats him. Like, comes out of nowhere. Just like, what the hell?
That's kind of every shark movie, isn't it? I mean.
And I just, it's just, oh God, I dig it.
Yeah.
It like, there's one part where like, a guy literally holds one of the sharks hostage, like has a spear gun up to his head, and the other 2 sharks stop swimming.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Like, I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah,
it's not a great movie, but it is one of the most fun movies that I saw this year, and so I was like, nah, this has to go on the list. Like, more people need to watch Deep Blue Sea 3. Because it's a worthy follow-up to Deep Blue Sea. If you like cheesy aquatic B-movie horror, Deep Blue Sea 3 is your movie.
All right.
So yeah.
Very cool.
I respect it. I put Tremors on here. I respect the cheesy, horrible shark movie.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number 9 came out very early in the year, to the point where basically no one saw it. It is I believe it's the third movie in this director's filmography, and he's been directing for over 30 years. It's Richard Stanley's Color Out of Space. I admire this more than I enjoy it. It's not a great movie, but like it's obviously like a Lovecraft movie, heavily inspired by the story The Color Out of Space. Yeah, I mean, Nicolas Cage plays this guy who moves with his family to a country home. It's funny, this is shot in Portugal, but it looks like it's like Washington or Oregon, which is really interesting. But
obsessed with alpacas.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They have an alpaca. I guess a farm, you could say. But yeah, I mean, one night a meteor comes down and lands in their backyard, and there's like this substance that gets out and starts infecting everybody. And this movie is probably 20 minutes too long, but there's some just really, like, once it hits like the 50-minute mark or the hour mark, like, this movie does not care about anyone's life. And I mean, not to get too spoilery, but like no one's really spared in the movie. Like, it's just about this whole entire mental and physical breakdown of this entire family and community. We're like, yeah, I mean, like there's one sequence where like two people like get melted together, and like Nicolas Cage has to carry them, and they're like, one's facing up and one's facing down, and they're like, it's like the Thing where like there's multiple eyes here and like mouths, and they're like on the couch moving, and like they're like there's a lot of that stuff, and it's just a lot of like really bright pink and purple colors, and Nicolas Cage like this isn't quite a great Nicolas Cage performance. Like Mandy is like an all-timer, and like this is like not quite there. I think like a better director would have. And I'm not saying I love Richard Stanley. I'm not saying he's a bad director, but like an actor's director who's sort of like guiding him through this. Like Nicolas Cage sort of just goes like VOD Nicolas Cage, where he's not constrained, but like he's not harnessed at the same time. And so it's not a great performance, but like he's really good as he sort of like loses his mind to this whole thing. And yeah, I mean, I love championing like these smaller movies that no one really talks about. And while this isn't a great movie, like I really had fun with it, and it's a great like midnight movie where you put it on after like being up for 18 hours and you're sort of dazed, and then you sort of experience like this like hallucinating experience, and that's kind of what this is. So I liked it enough to put it number 9. So
nice,
I recommend it. And you and I were going to do a movie night one night, but I think I was sick or something, and it just didn't work out. So
this is one I've wanted to watch. I just haven't gotten around to
another theater room watch.
Oh yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but it feels like this year has a lot of Lovecraftian stuff.
Yeah,
and I've really liked the other Lovecraftian movies that came out.
Yeah,
but the actual Lovecraft movie I did not watch this year.
Yeah,
so I know it's been on Shudder for the last couple.
Oh, okay, yeah,
months,
I recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it would make a good double feature with Mandy? Because I think Mandy.
I think they're too similar. I think they're too similar.
They're
too similar. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think Mandy would be an excellent theater room experience.
Yeah. It didn't come here in theaters, so I would love to see that in a bigger screen with like sound.
I think we all might have another movie you would make another great double feature with on our list.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
just saying.
Probably.
Just saying.
For in what context?
With the Color Out of
Space.
I guess we'll see.
Another Lovecraftian movie. So my turn, right?
Blake's now adding that movie to his top 10.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Combine the movie Sam last talked about and yours, and you will figure it out.
Yeah.
My number 9 is a movie I hinted at earlier, where we talked about going full all out crazy bonkers oh my god, Clancy Brown. This is it. This is the Mortuary Collection is my number 9.
I started this and I fell asleep and I haven't finished it yet, but God, I loved what I saw.
Yeah, I think this is the best horror anthology of the year. It has such a cinematic scope to it. It's a very low budget movie, but even Sam can probably say this and echo what I'm about to say. It's just a beautiful looking movie. Like the opening shot is a tracking shot, and it's huge, and it's got a big scope to it. It feels like you're kind of running through the hills like in Goonies. Like you got those bigger, wider shots of the kids on their bike. That's how the opening of Mortuary Collection starts, and
it's gorgeous.
It is a gorgeous movie, and what I love about it is one director doing all the segments of the anthology, and it feels like Clancy Brown is kind of like he's this version of like the Crypt Keeper or the Creep Show Creep. He is like that type of character in this, telling these scary stories, and obviously you have his narration going throughout in Clancy Brown's magnetic voice. He plays a mortician in this movie, telling these scary stories to scare this young woman who is just fascinated by him, and how that story intertwines into the final segment is very interesting. I think it's one of those anthology movies where all the segments work really, really well. I don't know how far Sam got into it.
I made it through the first segment, I believe.
The bathroom one?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is great.
Yep.
There's a great segment about this college guy who likes to sleep around, and he ends up sleeping with a woman that probably shouldn't have slept with. That's maybe that's all I'll say about it. Which is probably my favorite segment of this movie. And there's a final segment with, like I said, the main character of this movie. I think that puts a nice little bow on everything in this movie. I think it is one of those horror anthologies where every segment ties together perfectly, and I do love that it is kind of a throwback to like Tales from the Crypt, and this movie rules. Yeah.
Oh, I saw enough of it to know that Clancy Brown freaking kills it in this movie. I can't wait to go back and watch the rest of this, because what I saw of it was pretty amazing.
Yeah. And I'm itching to rewatch it. Like, this is that good a movie. I'm ready to rewatch it already.
Yeah.
So that's my number 9, The Mortuary Collection.
Very cool.
Cool. So my number 8 is, speaking of rewatches, this was my dishes movie for about 3 weeks. We've all seen this one. We saw it together in the parking lot of a brewery. Oh. This is the New Zealand horror comedy Did. Do either of you guys have this one on yours?
I didn't put it on there because technically it's not been released yet.
Yeah, it's on VOD. I've bought it on Vudu this year. Yeah.
Damn. I mean,
we're also one of the first.
Okay, I looked at. I don't count festivals as a release. I count full on releases.
Oh yeah.
So
it's available on video.
Okay, I went to IMDb.
I bought it.
No, I believe you. I love this too, and this would have made like my top 5. But I went to IMDb's release schedule, and it had nothing for the US. So I was like, oh, well, I'll put it for next year, I guess. So this would have been on my list, but I'll let you talk about it.
Weird. Okay.
Because I love this movie too.
You would have put this in top 5?
Probably.
Oh, I should have put this higher on mine.
Yeah.
I love this movie. It follows a stoner who, through happenstance,
is he a stoner?
Well, he smokes weed.
Okay.
I mean, and through happenstance, combined.
He's aimless for sure. Yeah.
His father's heart medication.
Yeah.
He finds a way to talk to ghosts.
Yeah.
And so essentially this cop who is on the hunt for a serial killer gets killed by said serial killer, and then requests Marvel's help in tracking this guy down, and
because he can see dead people. Yeah,
he can see dead people, and what starts off as just kind of like a goofy, like ha ha ha, turns into like a really interesting meditation on death and what comes after, and just friendship.
Well, how we deal with death too.
Yeah. How we deal with death and how we grieve, and it turned out to be a lot deeper than I expected it to when we were watching it, and upon rewatching it multiple times, like I bought it almost instantly after I saw that it was on Vudu. I was like, nah, I gotta pick this up. Like, I gotta watch this again. I love it more every time I watch this movie. It's hilarious. It's heartfelt. Maybe the mystery in it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But like the characters in this are what make it great. And I love the two leads. And it really hits me in the emotions every time I watch it. And I love it to death. And not to mention, I just have the really good memory of getting to see it with you guys at the film festival.
Yeah.
Like, that was just a great night. And we, I don't know. To me, like, when I thought back on like all my 2020 experiences, that was one of my favorite ones.
It was a lot of fun.
And so,
yeah,
I put this at 8 just because I didn't know how much that influenced me. But honestly, it's one of my favorites of the year. I genuinely love this movie.
Yeah, I have like a certain set of movies, and I'm looking at Casey's. What are those called?
Stickers?
No, the
Funko Pops.
The Funko Pops. There are movies where there's characters where I just love being around.
Mm-hmm. And like hanging out with the killer clowns from outer space.
Yeah. And I really loved just these two guys and like their weird friendship.
Yep.
And I don't think the movie is particularly good, but like there's a certain like comfortability level that I have with these two guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I just like spending time with these guys. And and like, there's a certain amount of empathy that I have for, the main character who is dealing with, his dad died, right? Or something like that. Yeah.
His dad died.
And, dealing with how his mom is treating him. And then, the cop who is, his sister's grieving, or about his death, and I really liked being in this world. Mm-hmm. and maybe, like you said, maybe the influence I have on it is the fact that the setting I saw it in was just a lot of fun. But this, if I had done more research, this would easily have been one of mine too. So
yeah, man, after hearing you talk about it, I am a little upset that it's not higher on my list. But like I said, I make these top 10 lists, and as soon as I finalize them, I instantly disagree with them. So go watch Dead, everybody.
You did say that.
It's amazing.
This was an honorable mention of mine, but I think it's more so I need to rewatch it in a focused setting, because
theater night.
I really did love our experience of sitting outside on a patio watching it, being the first crowd really that ever watched this movie.
Yeah, I guess it was the world premiere.
It
so.
was. In front of 20 people in Laverne, Minnesota.
So awesome.
And the
stars were out at night.
Stars were out. Trucks were driving and people honking their horns. It was one of those movies. I think if I would have rewatched it before this, it might have made my top 10.
Sure.
So yeah, I think it's one of those movies that's going to end up on Shudder like next year.
Yeah, I can see that.
People will
happening.
go crazy for it.
Yeah. It could be like a new cult movie that people.
And we're going to be like, we saw it first.
We saw it first.
I 100% think this has cult status
written
on it in years to come. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
Good pick.
Okay, my number 8. We had some debate on whether it was an actual horror movie or not. Sam was doing voices for it earlier. It is a movie we all really enjoyed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It is.
Is this a movie you're taking, bitch?
It is Hubie Halloween.
Yeah.
This movie, like, if it's not a horror movie, it drips Halloween. This movie is horny for Halloween. There is
it's also super horny for Hubie.
There is a skeleton. There's a pumpkin. There's a a dead leaf. There's a costume.
There's a pumpkin spice latte.
There's a strobe light. There's something in every shot of this movie that screams Halloween. Listen, I don't think this movie is very good, but I loved watching it. I really like, again, characters. I liked being with these characters. I generally hate Adam Sandler movie comedies. This is probably the best comedy he's made since Little Nicky.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I mean, like, who is the actress? Is it Julie
Bowen?
She's horny as fuck in this movie. Yeah. Tim Meadows and Maya Rudolph are just having a gas. This is just
the best way to use Kevin James in an Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he's good. This movie is just a lot of fun. Like
June
I said,
Squibb and her boner sweatshirts.
and dare I say, the cinematography is really good in this movie.
Yeah,
like,
and the color is like.
The color grading is it's just
a really gorgeous.
Movie. It's just like, this is gonna be a movie you throw on like you're gonna throw on the first week of October, and you're gonna be like, all right, I'm in for the season. Yeah. And I had a blast with this.
I watched this like 5 times in the month of October.
Yeah, I only watched it once, and I'll watch it again next year. Yep. But I had a total blast with this movie. So you guys didn't have it on your list?
I put it as an honorable mention.
I was totally expecting to be like higher. This is what
I mean though, guys. Like, there's some of my honorable mentions. Like, I look at that, I'm like, these should be on my top 10. Like, I hate top 10 lists.
Yeah, I don't like it. In fact, I don't want to do this so badly that I almost just did alphabetical order. But
I almost just said, here's 10 movies in random order. That I really like this year.
So this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is. Yeah. I'm enjoying this. I already disagree with my list.
Sam hates
and I'm
list.
sitting over here. I want structure. I want order. They need to be ranked.
Yeah. Casey, this is your fault that we're miserable.
I know. Remember, we created an entire show of making each other miserable.
Yeah, I know, but at least then I could just blame you.
We'll bring it back at some point. We'll do a show at some point.
I thought about doing it for this. I'm like, we can't do it.
No,
it's too much.
I gotta be ready for it.
At least then I could just play Chopping Mall at number 8 and be chaotic neutral, and you could and then I can blame everyone else for why the list went to shit.
Yeah. Typical liberal.
Look at me, Casey. Why didn't you play Nightmare on Elm Street? Anyway,
Casey, you gave me the nod that Barbara Crampton was going to wind up on the list twice.
That's not what I was leaning
for. She did.
She did make the list twice.
And I took care of that, by the way.
I'm fine with that. I didn't put this on my Hubie Halloween on my list because I knew one of you two or both of you was going to play it. And we would talk about it. And I think
part of the reason I didn't put it on was because
I just wanted 100% Rotten Tomatoes score in here. That's what I wanted. Now we have a 33%, which is depressing, but that's fine.
It's still a 100%.
No, it's still a 100%. I took it off.
I meant list-wise. We're gonna get to those though. I think.
I'm pretty sure both of you rated this 3 stars on Letterboxd.
I believe I'm at 3.5.
I don't know. I rated it 4 out of 5.
Sam, we know that you have no discrepancy with your voting.
I know, like just about every movie.
You gave Jury Duty 6 out of 5 stars.
What's Jury Duty?
I just picked one of the dumb Pauly short. Well, one of the dumb. Yeah. Anyway, we're getting way off topic here.
Yeah, Hubie Halloween rules.
Yeah,
it is. It's easily one of the best. It's the best comedy of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, Palm Springs is the best comedy of the year. But straight comedy, I say Palm Springs leans into drama territory. Yeah. But straight comedy, like I want to laugh for 90 minutes, I'm putting on Hubie Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right, I gave this 3 stars. So that's what
or I'm putting on The Wrong Missy, but that's another topic.
It's Casey's number 1 for the year.
God, I love The Wrong Missy shouldn't have been that good.
But it's so funny.
All right, I gotta watch this.
My number 8, I'm also I'll take a page out of Blake's book here, where it's not technically a horror movie, but it bleeds Halloween, and that is Happy Halloween, Scooby-Doo.
This is in my honorable mentions.
I'm surprised we haven't pushed the movie higher yet. I really am.
I know
we're gonna get there, I think, but
we definitely are.
I think, yeah. Happy Halloween, Scooby-Doo. Me and Sam raved about it when this came out.
Yeah.
It is one of the best straight to DVD. It's one of the best Scooby-Doo movies ever made.
Yeah, it really is.
It surprises me that Scooby-Doo has never had a movie set on Halloween before, because that just makes so much sense. And this movie, yes, just bleeds Halloween. The best movie with Bill Nye as a actor in this.
Oh, you haven't seen Mank yet, then?
I have seen Mank, and I stand by what I just said. The best use of Bill Nye in any movie in 2020. I
haven't seen Mank, and I will double that. This is better than Mank.
I'm kidding. I haven't seen Mank yet.
Elvira is a great addition to the Scooby Gang, and
Elvira needs to be in every movie.
She should be in every movie. Not her own though. Sorry, Sam.
I love her movies. I love them.
But her and Daphne's relationship in this is perfect. I love that this movie is a Velma movie, which is really fun. This movie also continues the trend of Fred being in love with the Mystery Machine to a very weird level.
But in this one, it works more.
Unlike
in Scoob or
this is the best Scooby-Doo movie this year, easily.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And part of that is because the voice cast. Like, it's nice to have Matthew Lillard be the voice of Shaggy. It's nice to have it's just nice to have character voice actors that actually embody these characters, as opposed to just famous names that really were put in a movie for no reason. And I'm not.
Isn't Amanda Seyfried Daphne?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about her,
yeah,
very pointless to have her as Daphne.
And I mean, we talked about Scoob on the last episode, and I think I like it. I like it a lot more than you do, but I also have a lot of issues with how they handled the voice casting in that. And I do think that Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo was what Scooby-Doo fans. It was the movie that Scooby-Doo fans deserved in 2020. And it's 100% the best Scooby-Doo movie to come out this year.
And it is also a rule on every SlashLot episode, we bring up Scooby-Doo in some fashion, because we have in every single episode.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, all three so far.
And it probably will always, because I don't think there's a month that goes by that I don't watch at least one Scooby-Doo movie.
Jesus, what have I got myself into?
A third of my VHS collection is Scooby-Doo movies. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my number 8. Happy Halloween, Scooby-Doo. Blake, you need to watch this movie. This is a yearly Halloween watch.
I will watch it when my daughter gets older.
There you go. I will take it. Sam,
take that too.
You're number 7.
We're at number 7.
Number 7.
This might be the one where you guys have it higher. Speaking of Lovecraftian vibes, my number 7 is Underwater. Okay. Higher?
Yep.
Cool.
I'll just say right now, my number 7 was also Underwater, just so we can.
Dope. Okay.
So Blake's number 7.
My number 7, I'm not sure if you guys have seen. It's called Alone.
I have not.
Yeah, this movie is about a woman who I believe she just lost her husband. And she is packing up her things. She is leaving town. And then all of a sudden, a guy is just starts stalking her on the road. And the really cool thing is for the most part, she whenever she's in a situation with this guy where he's just being really weird around her, or he's trying to trap her, she does the right thing. She's smart, and she knows that she might have to be kind of a quote unquote, she has to be a bitch, but she knows that it'll save her life. And there's a great sequence where she's at a road stop or rest area, and the camera is focusing on the background, then focusing on her, and then focusing on the background, and basically the guy stalking her is coming out of the bathroom and walking, and she's on the phone talking, well, what should I do? And the camera's just focusing back and forth, and really, really great stuff. The movie's really intense for the first hour and 10 minutes. And then I don't want to spoil too much, but it kind of turns into a WWF movie at the end. And it's kind of I'm not really on board with what is happening here, but it sort of works. But the first hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, really, really slap hard. And I think it's only like an hour and 25 minutes. It's a really short movie, but like from minute 1 until a certain scene, like it's really, really intense, and it holds that tension the entire time. Great performances. There's a great sequence where like she finds herself stuck in the guy's vehicle, and like he gets back in, and he starts to drive, and she has to like figure out how to get out of the vehicle. And like there's a lot of great stuff like that. And yeah, I recommend this movie. It's a lot of fun. Really, really intense movie. Like if you have that person you really care about, or someone you lost, like it's really going to speak to you, because the lead actress really just delivers that whole thing home. So yeah, Alone.
This has been on my watch list. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, it's really solid. Yeah.
Same
Cool.
here. I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Yeah. I think I've heard the ending is a little not
like
bad,
I'm thinking about it now, and I'm kind of like, it actually kind of makes sense. It just felt like at the time watching, I'm like, this feels out of place. Like it just feels like something different, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you're the only.
Don't let that,
but yeah,
deter you. Like it's a really good movie otherwise. So,
all right. So since Casey and I 7 is null and void until Blake decides to play it.
Do I go?
Sam goes.
Okay.
My number 6 is a movie. I don't know if either of you guys have seen this one. It is the teen horror black comedy Spontaneous.
I've not seen
I've not either. I thought this was going to be higher on Sam's list.
There's a from 6 to 1, they could almost all be interchanged, honestly. I'm pretty sure I've rated all of these movies the exact same star rating. So Spontaneous is just phenomenal. It is Catherine Langford and Charlie Plummer play these 2 high school kids that essentially fall in love while a bunch of their classmates are just spontaneously combusting in a very gory fashion. This movie is hilarious, but it is also very hard to watch at times. It is very clearly an allegory for a lot of the things that kids in school are going through now with, active shooter drills and things like this. And especially with COVID-19 happening this year, it feels very timely. There's a certain point where all these kids are the senior class is quarantined because they don't know why they're exploding, and they don't know if it's contagious. And there's just so much heartbreak in this movie, but somehow it manages to keep you laughing through the whole damn thing. I have never been I don't know if I've ever watched a movie where I've been crying and laughing at the same exact time. I mean, it's insane, the tonal balance that this movie takes, and a lot of that is due to Catherine Langford's performance. I mean, she is just, this is a star-making performance for her. She is phenomenal in this, and it is such a nihilistic little movie that also, in a weird nihilistic way, is also very hopeful. And the ending just left me wanting to fist pump.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, like it's definitely, it revolves around trauma. It revolves around very real issues that teenagers are facing these days, but it's one of the best movies of the year. Not just horror movies, but one of the best movies of the year. And I really, really like this movie, and I highly recommend you guys see this because it's fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about it. Unfortunately, the first thing I saw of Spontaneous was the horrible poster that this movie had.
Yeah, the poster is not good.
Is really bad. So
it does not represent what the movie is.
Yeah. And for me, it looked like a dying teen movie, which I guess it is a dying teen movie, but is actually having fun and playing up the horror of dying teen movies.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
All right, rad.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
I don't think I should go because I feel like I'm going to hear higher after this.
Okay.
So my number 6 is Host.
Higher.
All right. My number 6 then. I don't know if either of you have watched this yet. This hit Netflix a few months ago. His House.
I wanted to get to this one before this episode because I knew you were really raving about this, and I didn't get to it. I've heard this is amazing.
Yeah, so it's a British horror movie. Really plays up the haunted house, and is kind of one of those plays on the haunted house subgenre where it has a reason that these people cannot leave this house, which I love. It is about this group. It's about this husband and wife. They're escaping from South Sudan, trying to find a new life. They escape to England, and basically they are end up in this basically government housing. And so I guess some of the rules of British government housing is you can't leave the house. You can go to the grocery store, go to the doctor, stuff like that, but you can't necessarily leave your house. Can't ask for a new house. You can't move or anything like that until you become a citizen. And having that as your structure for a horror movie, and how your escape from the evils of your past can integrate into the evils of your present and trying to get into a new beginning is very interesting, because obviously you're leaving a terrible place, in a war-laden Sudan, but you end up in this house where you're just haunted by those memories of your past. And it's very interesting how they set it up where you cannot leave the house. The performances of this movie are incredible. I didn't nominate anyone for Schmuckies because I knew, unfortunately, no one else had watched the movie. So that's sad, but I think it is one of those movies that is going to fly under the radar. In 3 years, people will be like, did you guys check out this movie, His House, on Netflix? Came out in 2020. Why did we not watch it then? It feels like that movie. It also has a Doctor Who in it, so that is very cool. And he's very just a supporting character, Matt Smith, in this movie.
I was about to say Matt Smith, right?
Yeah, and he's really good in the movie too. He's not, he's probably the third or fourth lead of the movie. Has some great scenes with the main actor, but he's not overpowering or showing off like, hey, look, we have a doctor in our movie. It's just, he's playing a character in the movie. I think it is one of those great horror movies with actual great scares, but also has a very great character study and like allegory message throughout it. So it is one of those movies that does the balance really well, like a Hereditary or a Midsummer. Like you're balancing these scares with, actual drama and actual stakes. So I highly recommend this movie if you guys haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's definitely, I would presume I'll be watching it within a week or two, because it's one that rocketed to the top of my must-watch list after I heard you talking about it. So
yeah, and it is a beautiful movie. Like there's some shots in this that are just look like a painting almost. It is a really great looking movie.
Nice.
So His House.
My house.
Whose house?
So this brings us to our number 5, right?
Top 5.
All right.
It's getting dicey.
My number 5 is a little underrated gem. It's also one of those European horror comedies. It is Extraordinary.
Okay.
And have you guys seen this one? No?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So this movie came out on video on demand back in like March, I think. So like right when quarantine was starting, and everyone was freaked out, and I was freaked out, and I'm like a hypochondriac. So like every day I thought I was getting COVID, even though I hadn't left my apartment for weeks. And then I saw Will Forte was in a movie about a woman who could talk with ghosts. And I was like, that sounds okay. And so I bought it. And oh my God, this movie was like a warm blanket for me for the first couple months of quarantine. It's about this woman who has the ability to speak to ghosts. Her father was also like a psychic, and she would help him as a young girl with paranormal investigations. And one day, an accident happens in one of their investigations, and she loses her father. So now she's this grown woman who refuses to do anything with her psychic powers because she blames herself for her father's death. And she is a driving instructor. Meanwhile, the single dad, or the widowed father of a teenage girl, is haunted by his nagging dead wife. And so he basically enlists this driving instructor, like tries to get her to help him exorcise his house of his wife. In the meantime, in the background, you've got Will Forte as this washed up musician who has turned to Satanism and needs a virgin to sacrifice to put his music career back on track. And he sets his sights on this father's teenage daughter. And all of these storylines end up colliding in a really entertaining, humorous, heartfelt way. And it ends in a third act that I can only describe as flat out bonkers. And I won't spoil anything about it, but the third act of this movie is great, and it made me laugh so much. I can't say any more without spoiling it, but it genuinely checked all my boxes. It was one of those movies that I don't know. I know a lot of people I've read some discourse online that's just been like, oh, it's more like chuckle worthy and everything. And I guess I don't get that. I loudly belly laughed through almost this entire movie. And maybe it's not for everyone. I don't know, but it definitely was for me. And so this was my number 5 movie of the year, was Extraordinary. I highly recommend this one.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. It was one that came out really early in people trying to do the virtual cinemas, and
the state had it for a while.
Had it for a while, yeah. Just never got around to it.
Neither did I.
I'm glad that's the Will Forte movie that made your list.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
All right. 5?
5.
My number 5 stars A Hobbit. It also shares the name of an Aphex Twin song. Stars a great Canadian character actor. It is Come to Daddy. This isn't. I mean, it's horror adjacent. It's not quite full on horror, but it's horror enough. It's about this young millennial, played by Elijah Wood, who's like this DJ. Like he wants to become a DJ. He's got and he looks like a hipster. He's got like a gold iPhone, and he's got earrings and all that. He looks like a dope a little bit. He gets a letter from his dad who he's never really met before, to come out and visit him in, I think it's Oregon. And so I have 2 Oregon movies in a row. So he decides to go out and meet him, and Stephen McHattie plays his dad. And I love Stephen McHattie. I've talked so much about Stephen McHattie in the show, and I love seeing him in movies. But he plays his dad, and there's this really contentious thing happening between Elijah Wood and McHattie, and McHattie's this alcoholic. He's always he's just berating him all the time and being really rude to him. And Elijah Wood's like, well, why am I here if you're just gonna be like this? And and then all of a sudden you start to realize that Steve McHattie's not his dad, and Elijah Wood's kind of been duped, and you don't know why. And then I'm stopping there with the plot description because it goes insane. It's a wild movie, and it gets really violent, and there's just some terrific filmmaking at the end of this movie. There's a sequence where Elijah Wood is in this hotel, and he has to steal something, but he can't he's sneaking to this hotel room while the people are in there sleeping, and he can't make a single sound, and he has to like, and the whole thing is quiet, and it's really really good filmmaking. It kind of turns a little like Giallo-ish in terms of cinematography, kind of at the end, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, this is sort of like thrown on at 1 a.m. and just be like, whoa, what is this? Because it goes off the rails at the end. It's a lot of fun.
I can't wait to check that one out.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things, including Blake raving about it numerous times about this movie. I haven't watched it yet.
And I love Elijah Wood.
Yeah,
he's really good in the movie too.
Because what's the director is
Timpson, something like
right?
that. Yeah.
I love the career trajectory that he and Daniel Radcliffe have. They made their money with The Hobbit and Harry Potter. Now they're like, let's do weird, strange movies.
And I think he might have produced it too. And I know he's producing other stuff, like weird stuff too. So
like Daniel Radcliffe has one of my favorites of this year. I didn't have on this list. It's not a horror movie, even though I've seen it on some lists. Guns Akimbo is one of my favorites of the year.
Did you see him in Horns?
Yeah, that movie rules.
God, I love that movie.
Yeah, I like those guys doing weird, crazy shit like that. So my number 5, yeah. My number 5 is one of the big box office stories of the year. It is one that is number 1 at the box office for a very long time, mostly because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the best Blair Witch movie since the Blair Witch Project. This is The Wretched.
I'm so glad you put this on your list. I had it in my
I don't know if I've heard of this before.
You had?
I don't know. I don't think so.
This is the movie that, it was the top of the box office for almost 2 months.
Oh, wow.
It was playing. It's one of those movies that drive-ins were really bringing in, like hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the first movies that drive-ins picked up.
It was at West Mall for like 2 months.
It was, yeah. I wish I saw it at West Mall.
I did see it at West Mall. Oh God, it was so much fun.
Okay, I've heard of this. Yeah.
This is basically Rear Window, Fright Night, and the Blair Witch Project together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of the best pure horror movies of the year. I think it's one that I'm going to go back and rewatch multiple times, and I think love even more every time I watch this movie. Genuine scares, some great looking visuals.
Practical
effects, like the stuff with like the deer is just nasty, and I love it. Yeah.
I think that if I would have watched this multiple times this year, like I haven't seen it since like July when I saw it in theaters. I feel like it would have been on my list. It's in my honorable mentions because God, this movie rips.
Yeah, this movie rules. I think the acting is really good for a horror movie. It has enough of a familiarity to it. Like I said, it's like Rear Window and Fright Night. So you understand the story, at least in that perspective. There's good character stuff with especially the main kid and like him dealing with like his parents and having the summer job and falling in love and then dealing with witches, that classic childhood teenage story. And maybe from what I've said so far on this podcast, like The Pale Door, I love witch movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is right up my alley.
Except The Witch.
Oh, God,
again, a movie I need to rewatch. I think I might like it more the next time. The Blair Witch Project is one of my favorite movies ever, and this is what the Adam Wingard sequel should have been.
Man, now I'm really curious. Is this out on VOD yet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched it on Hulu a few.
It's on Hulu?
It's on
Perfect.
Hulu.
I have Hulu. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a scene in this, and it's kind of teased in the trailer where the witch is looking for a child who the boy is hidden in his bedroom, and she comes to the door and she's staring through the screen door at him, like basically like telling him, like, without outright telling him, like, if you don't give me this kid, you're gonna fucking die. And it is like, I cannot remember being so tensed up in a theater.
Jeez.
Like, oh,
it
God,
has
so good.
One of Blake's favorite scenes ever, the Zodiac basement scene. It feels like that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh
with
man.
the witch.
Oh man. Licking my chops over here.
Oh, trust me, Blake, I feel like you're gonna love this movie.
All right.
God, I'm kind of wishing I would have.
Right. This is why we do the show, though, because we can discover more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to check this out. I'll probably watch it after when my wife's away. She's pregnant and she'll get scared. So yeah, I'm excited. This sounds. This
Maybe
is like
we need to do a theater night watch with this one.
Yeah, we should just watch everybody in the theater. This sounds like one of those movies where it's just like, God, I can't believe I missed this. I slept on this. So
I loved it. Wretched, my number 5.
Yeah,
I could have put it higher too. Like my top 5 could all be number 1.
I know. That's where I am at too. Like I'm just this one I might get told higher.
Okay.
My number 4 is The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
higher.
I assumed.
Oh, so it's my turn.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 4. I don't know if you guys have seen yet. He comes from horror royalty. He's the son of one of the great horror directors. He's Canadian. It's Possessor by Brandon Cronenberg. I kind of agree with you guys. Like my top 5, they can all be 1, and this could be my number 1, even though I didn't love it. It's just so different. It's just so unique. It really feels like this is something new. It feels like this is a new voice. It feels like this is a new direction for film in general. I know that's like a wild thing to say, but like the violence in this movie is so visceral and like blood curdling. Like it's so real that it just feels like we're going to enter a new era of like, this sounds so stupid, pretentious, but like a new era of violence on screen. Like just feels like a different level of filmmaking. Like I think I talked about it the last time I was here, but like this movie is so violent and like even like sexually, it's just so in your face. There's like graphic shots of genitalia. Like it just feels like an adult horror movie for adults only. It feels like a movie like you're like a 12-year-old kid and you sneak into and you're like, holy shit, what did I wasn't ready for that. I'm too young for this. This just feels a new era of horror has been born, and it's probably too high of praise for this. I've just never seen anything like this before, and it stars Andrea Riseborough, who I'm really starting to like. She did an Amazon show last year called 000, with, is it Dane DeHaan? Is that how you?
Oh, yeah.
Their brother and sister. Their dad's Gabriel Byrne. He runs a drug trade, and it's an incredible show. But anyways, she's just having a really good year. She plays like this hitman who. Her company, they're paid by these big corporations. This kind of feels like Videodrome and like Demon Lover, where like she is hired to hijack the brain of someone close to someone they want to kill. And like the opening scene is this woman getting ready to go out, and she goes to this party, and you're following her, and all of a sudden she just violently kills this guy, and then she commits suicide by police. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden that cuts the Andrea Riseborough in like this like big machine where like she's coming out of like hypnosis, and Jennifer Jason Leigh's her boss, and she's wild in this movie. And they're like, well, yeah, we're giving you one more assignment, and she has to hack the brain of this kid who's dating this woman whose father, who's played by Sean Bean, runs this corporation. And so
is Sean Bean dying?
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not spoiling.
Sam, Sean Bean's in the movie. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That answers your question.
So like, and what's really crazy about this movie is like, I love the actor Christopher Abbott who's in this. He plays the guy whose brain or body she takes over. He has the ability to. It's like he's acting outside of himself. Like he's showing us that Andrea's in his body, controlling it. Like there's a shot where like he's like looking in the mirror and he's just like touching himself, and then he pulls his boxers down, revealing his penis, and he's like looking at it and like kind of like moving it. And like there's all this like really weird stuff that he does where he's not himself, and it's just like this is like a really great performance And then it, like it comes to a point where like he has to do the job, as Andrew Riseborough has to do the job, and it gets incredibly violent again at this point. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't love this movie. It's like there's never a moment in this movie where you laugh. There's never a moment in this movie where you smile. It's very serious. It's very like it doesn't give you a chance to breathe. It's a very, very cold and nihilistic movie, but I've never seen anything like it before. I nominated Brandon Cronenberg for Best Director because I think he just did a great job conveying like this really cold, icy world where like people's lives don't matter, and in a way it kind of reflects life where like corporations are taking over and like our lives don't really matter anymore as long as the buck is made. And that movie is kind of saying that, but has some other stuff going on. But like this movie's wild. I guarantee you've seen nothing like it. Incredibly, incredibly violent movie. So if you're going to watch it, make sure you watch it on somebody who's not queasy. So I just think this is a game changer for movies. And I'm excited to see where he goes next. And I'm excited to see or hear what you guys think and other people think about this, because this movie is bonkers crazy.
I'll be honest. I have actually avoided this movie intentionally because of your descriptions of it. Just because, like, I just don't know if mentally I'm in a place to watch this. You know what I mean?
There's a scene where someone gets stabbed in the neck, and I'm like, did they stab that guy in the neck for real? Like, it's just
the closest thing I can compare the violence to is.
Oh, you saw it?
I've seen it.
Okay.
I don't have as high of praise as you. I really dug the movie. It's in my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
The violence is very graphic and it feels very real. The closest thing I can think of is like Green Room is what I compare.
Oh boy, I think this just goes way beyond that.
I don't know. There's the box cutter scene in Green Room. Where like that.
That feels
up my spine.
That felt more exploitative, I guess, for me.
If you're comparing it to Green Room, I could probably handle Possessor. Then maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
Blake's face.
I don't think it's as I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it's up to the person.
Maybe the violence affected me more because the movie is so cold and so like inhuman. Like this movie does not care about human beings' lives, and I think maybe that plays into the like how it affected me for the violence. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
What I love about it though is that it's very high concept, but it never plays up the concept of the movie. It's very much about the few characters we're following. It's not about the huge scope of we can transfer people's brains into other people's brains.
And that is a complaint of mine where like I wish that there was a little bit more explanation to like how things work. Maybe like this movie, it just happens. You're just supposed to be like,
that's
right.
my biggest praise for the movie.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I love that.
This movie's incredibly violent. I don't know.
I want to check it out eventually.
This is a theater movie room.
One day we will do a theater room of this one. I just have to be
this in like Videodrome.
It just can't be in a year like 2020.
Yeah. This this is a movie the state needs to play at like midnight and be like you like checking IDs. Like it's hard. I would say R, but it's unrated. But yeah. Anyway, I really liked it a lot.
I am interested in seeing it. Like I said, I just need to be in a better place mentally.
I don't blame you.
All right. So my number, what are we on?
4? Yeah,
4?
I went too long. Sorry.
I'm going to play up the violence too, but in a much more fun manner. My number 4 is from the director of Bliss, Joe Begos. VFW. I think I've talked about this on the show when I first watched it. I absolutely loved this movie. It's about this group of war veterans that are getting together at this VFW just to have some drinks. Stephen Lang, William Sadler, Martin Cove, George Wentz,
Fred
Williamson. Just a huge cast of 70s and 80s kind of cult actors. And they go up against across town or across the road,
across the street.
Is this group of like punks that are taking this drug and basically mutates them and they go crazy. So basically old guys, VFW veterans versus mutant punks, which that's a great concept in itself. They come and invade the bar. It is awesome. It's violent, but the violence is incredibly fun. You love watching these old guys just kick ass and take on these punk mutants. I think it's one of those movies where like just the amount of violence is something horror fans will love and crave. Again, it's one of those movies like it is the complete opposite of Possessor, where Possessor, like every bit of violence is so visceral and you like it makes you cringe and it feels very real.
Yeah.
This is a very heightened version of that. And if you're a fan of Bliss, I think this is a great follow-up for Joe Bagos.
You're forgetting the grain.
It
movie has so much grain in it.
It looks like a 70s or 80s cult movie, and it feels like that. This movie is a blast, and if you haven't watched it, check it out. But yeah, it is one of those incredibly violent movies that you're just gonna have a blast watching.
It's only like an hour and 16 minutes long. It's really short.
I haven't seen this or Bliss.
Bliss is incredible. Yeah,
I'll have to check it out. Like both of them sound very much like my shit.
Ooh.
I just haven't gotten around to them yet.
Bliss is something else.
I think I like Bliss more, but I love VFW too.
VFW is in my honorable mentions. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Sam, you'll love both movies. Like, I think both have gotten a lot of hate for some reason, and I don't understand it.
They were part of the whole Cinestate thing, I think, because wasn't VFW made under Cinestate?
Yeah, but
I'm not gonna lie. Also,
just tainted it.
VFW feels like a conservative's like wet dream. Like you got these old military guys beating up like young millennials, like Antifa type guys. So I can kind of see maybe people like, oh, screw that, But like, it's a lot of fun, and like the gang, like, doesn't the gang like kill a kid in the beginning? Like that's what sets the whole thing off in motion, because they steal the backpack, and then it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this movie's a blast.
Yeah, like this is a movie for like people who like grew up with their dads watching like Charles Bronson, like Steve McQueen action movies of the 70s, and you like see all, like you said, all these like B actor.
It's for people who grew up watching Silent Rage.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Pretty sure there's also a Cheers joke in this movie too.
Is there really?
I think there is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch this one. I think.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson, Ted Danson, and John Rosencrantz all show up and are like, "Hey!" No, they don't.
Bliss VFW double feature in the theater.
Yeah,
let's do it.
16mm grain.
Hell yeah, I'm in for that.
Sam, have you seen Luz? LUZ?
Oh fuck, dude! Made our top 10 last year.
All right, well, you gotta watch it.
Are these all?
They're like all like 16mm, like grainy horror, and like I guarantee you've never seen anything like Luz before. It's just it's wild.
There's some of the few movies that feel like you're walking down the 80s video store aisle. You see that cover, you're like, what the hell is that? You grab it.
That's exactly what it is.
And watch it.
I'll have to check. Yeah. I want to check all of those out.
Yeah.
Let's make a playlist and we can.
And I'll take a couple weeks off.
Also, Luz is like not very long either. It's a little over an hour.
I feel like it's on a streaming service too. I'm looking this up.
You go ahead, Shudder.
Well,
I think it might be on
Shudder.
Shudder.
I know VFW's on Shudder.
Yes. And Bliss might be as well.
I think Bliss is too. So. Yeah. I need to. I haven't been on my Shudder for a little while.
It is on Shudder.
Yes.
Sweet.
We got to do a triple feature.
Oh, yeah. 2021. Let's hit it.
Top 3, boys.
Top 3. All right. So, Casey, I don't know if you have this one higher.
Okay.
My number 3.
What, me?
You already played it.
Oh.
My number 3 is Host.
Oh, guess what? My number 3 is Host.
Awesome.
Guess what? My number 6 is Host.
So, Host. Oh my God, you guys.
I haven't seen this one. Is it good? I'm just kidding.
2020 captured perfectly in a
I hear some award
movie.
Consideration for this movie.
There is some award consideration for this movie because director Rob Savage directed this damn thing over Zoom. I could barely teach kids over Zoom this March, and he directed a whole damn feature about it. Like, what?
To be fair, they're adults. I mean,
that's true. And they all wanted to be there and were getting paid to be there. So yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That makes me feel better. No, it doesn't. So Zoom seance goes wrong. That's the premise of Host. Zoom seance goes wrong.
Sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this movie was going to be the stupidest thing. Like, I remember my first episode of Killer Countdown was a news episode. And one of our news stories was that Shudder would be unveiling a Zoom horror movie. And I believe my first reaction when Casey read that was a sarcastic, I'm sure that'll be great. And now it's my number 3.
Joke's on you, Sam.
Yeah, like foot in mouth. My God. This movie just blew me away. The scares and I'm sorry. I'm all over the place.
You are.
It's
so okay. It's okay.
The characters here feel so real. The dialogue is so natural, and it feels like any type of Zoom meeting that you would be in. And when the scares start coming, they just don't let up. And they're genuinely surprising in multiple ways. The head banging against the keyboard, that scared the shit out of me. I mean, like, and then they just keep ramping it up. I mean, that's essentially pretty early into that, like, build up. And somehow, even after that, they keep managing to ratchet it up and make it more and more terrifying until that very end shot that it destroyed me. And I immediately had to watch this movie again. I mean, like, feel free to add on, guys.
It's
like,
one of the most effective horror movies of the last decade or so.
Yeah.
It feels very much set up, payoff, set up, payoff, set up, payoff, which is great in a horror movie when you're picking off characters. You know, you have our six main characters. The guy kind of disappears right away in the beginning of it. I didn't even know there was a guy in the movie until I watched it. Yeah. He's not in any of the marketing, and no one talks about him now. But I mean, what I loved about it is we are thrown into a Zoom meeting with 6 friends. That's what this movie is. It's an hour long. It is 6 friends doing a seance during the pandemic, and shit goes wrong. There's no setup of, hey, I'm this person, and here's my personality, and this is what I do, and here's the next person. Hey, I'm this person. This is my personality. No, it's just 6 friends getting together. They all know each other already. They know their relationships. We figure it out as we go. And I really do love that. I think it's the best. I mean, this concept isn't new. I mean, a movie me and Blake have raved about is The Den, the Unfriended movie. So, like, this concept isn't new. But I do think it is a perfect use of that concept. I do think we'll probably get more of these type of movies down the road. I mean, obviously, like we said, The Den was what, 2013? Unfriended was 2014, 2015. And yeah, I think we'll keep getting these. And I think this is one of the best uses of that. And we talked about it before the show. More movies need to be this runtime, an hour long. There's nothing wrong with hour-long movies. They're still movies. They are not a short movie. This is a short film. This is a feature-length movie.
And there's not an ounce of fat on it.
No.
Everything is there for a reason. Nothing is set up without being paid off. I mean,
I think there's one goofy concept in the movie. It is when the girl takes her laptop and walks around and brings it up into...
Yeah, that felt really forced.
That felt like the found footage part of it.
I didn't get that.
It felt like, okay, we have to, like, the cameras to keep going. I was like, oh, God.
But I'm okay with it because I love cheesy found
footage movies.
I love it.
I was too invested in
I get it.
You know,
I actually didn't love it as much as you guys did. But like, this feels like this movie would not work this year. It wouldn't have worked in 2019. We're at this point when it came out, we're like 4 months into the pandemic, and we were all getting like really like antsy to get out of the house, and we kind of couldn't. I mean, we could, a little bit different here in South Dakota, but at the same time, we were still a little like, should I go out? Like, I don't know if I should. Like, it's maybe not the right thing to do. And I think I watched this like Saturday morning at like 6 a.m. or something, or 7 a.m. Lights were all out, and like it legit terrified me.
Yeah.
Like there was times where like I turned the volume way down when they were walking through the house.
Because you knew.
Yeah, there were times where I was watching like this. So like it obviously affected me, and I like, but like there's like I don't agree with the dialogue. I think some of the dialogue is just like really like cringy. Like, oh, okay, we gotta set this up. Like that's just how I felt. I could be wrong. I don't know. But overall, like I love the length. I could have used 10 minutes more, maybe. There's part of me that was just kind of like, just run out of your apartment. I don't know why you just don't run out. But we wouldn't have the horror genre if we said that about every horror movie.
One of them does, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I'll also say, much like his house, there's a reason they can't leave their house.
Yeah.
You're in a pandemic. You don't want to leave.
Well,
we're already in.
No offense. I'm going to go ahead and get a cough if it means getting killed by a ghost. But regardless, like the scene with the mask is
great.
Oh my God. Like, oh my, like I think I paused the movie and was like, I got to collect myself. The
final jumps.
Is it baking powder on the floor with the Polaroid camera, whatever? Like that scared the crap out of me. There's great scares in this.
Yeah.
I think this is like I'll watch again and then be like, yep, okay, I get it now. So like, yeah, I mean, it's number 6 on my list. I liked it a lot, but not as much as you guys. But I do think like it's just a lightning in a bottle movie. Like this would not work.
Yeah.
Next year or this year, next year, last year, like last year. You know what I mean? Like this is a 2020 movie, and it's gonna be like kids are gonna watch this and they're gonna be like, when this came out, it was in the middle of a pandemic and people couldn't leave their homes. Imagine watching it like that. And we'll be like, yeah, we were there.
Well, it'll be, yeah, exactly. It's exactly.
And the acting is great.
It is. I mean, we had 3 different nominations of 3 out of the 5 actresses in the movie were nominated for our awards between all of us, between the hundreds of movies between 6 of us that we all probably watched.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point in that movie where I genuinely thought that Emma Louise Webb was actually like in danger. I'm like, oh my God. Like I compared it in my review to Heather's breakdown in Blair Witch, because that's what it channeled that. Like that.
I'm sure that was a reference to Blair Witch.
I'm sure it
There's
was.
tons of horror references in this movie.
But not only was it just a good reference, it made me feel the exact same way as that scene in Blair Witch did. And I just, you're right. It's going to be one of those things like maybe in 2030 when all of this is behind us and like our kids are grown up and all this, they don't necessarily know it. It's going to be like, oh, well, but it's
I mean, it's one of the great found footage movies.
This is our Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
the same with Blair Witch. Cause like a kid nowadays, like
is going to hate it.
Yeah. Kids nowadays aren't going to look at Blair Witch and be like, oh man, that's terrifying. Like that was a cultural event, And
yeah.
We still have that memory. So it's still terrifying to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to. I think like with all found footage movies, it's going to be a little like of the moment type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, even looking at some of the movies like Hollywood is producing about the pandemic, it's like I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
This movie it was lightning in a bottle.
There's no way Songbird is as scary as this. No, there's no way.
Definitely not.
Yeah. It's one of the I would say, even though it's not one of like my favorites of the year, I would say it is one of the movies of the year. Mm-hmm. When you look back, you're going to be like, what are the movies that really kind of dug into the fear and anxiety we had? And like, I mean, if this is not number 1, then I don't know what would be higher.
Well, and I think too, like this puts Shudder on the map in the mainstream, like in a way that none of their other things have ever done.
This was a movie everybody was talking about.
Yeah. Like people were signing up for Shudder just to see this movie. And I mean, like
now Okay, I need some correction on this. Shudder released their top 5 movies streamed of the year, and I swear the Host wasn't even on the top 5.
Really?
I'll look it up.
It's probably because I watch Chopping Mall so damn much.
So I hope I read it wrong, because I really find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I do too.
So whose was that? Was that yours?
That was mine.
So that was your number 3?
My number 3.
Okay, my number 3 I know we all have.
Okay.
Underwater.
Oh, yeah. We had it at 7.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess I get to talk about it. Okay, so yeah, Underwater is like the most Craftian movie of the year. Without saying too much,
can we just talk? I mean, can we go full?
We can. Yeah. So Kristen Stewart, the great Kristen Stewart, plays someone in this movie. I don't know what she does. She's a good
Ripley.
She's a good teeth brusher in this movie. Yeah, so it opens with her brushing her teeth, and then I don't think a minute passes, and then this underwater subterranean base just starts to implode, and she has to run a mile to survive. Her and this crew have to make it to a certain point before the whole thing collapses. Oxygen's gone, and while trying to figure this out, they realize that there are monsters underwater that are attacking them, and they have to deal with that. And there's just a lot of great sequences where I love a good underwater movie where they're like, we have to walk a mile to the next door, and I love stuff like that. So there's great sequences like that in this movie. I'm such a huge fan of Vincent Cassel, and whenever he's in a big Hollywood movie, I fist pump the air, and he is so good in this movie as their boss.
Awesome.
He's just like this, like kind of like no nonsense, but like he's no nonsense, but he's not like playing it to like 100% cheese. Like he's very grounded, and so he's great in this. And then at the end we get this huge like Cthulhu type monster out of nowhere that is just massive, and it made me really want another 30 minutes of this movie where like she has to fight Cthulhu somehow. And this is like a great Hollywood $100 million I don't know how much it cost, but it
was only about 50 million.
Was that what it is? Yeah. Like a really expensive B movie, and I'm glad we're getting movies like this because I had a complete blast with it.
Yeah, I'm really bummed that it didn't do as well in the theaters.
I'm not surprised though either.
I'm not surprised either.
People have
a lot of problem. No, there had a lot of behind the scenes stuff though too.
Yeah, but I mean, like the normal person's not going to be like, I'm not going because TJ Miller's in it.
Well,
this got dumped in January.
The good news is that TJ Miller gets like fucking annihilated.
He does. Yeah.
Not even that far into the first act.
Kristen Stewart still has a stigma to her in the mainstream,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because she's, oh my god,
which sucks because she's doing incredible work with like all kinds of foreign directors and stuff.
And I would argue even in the mainstream things that she does, like she was the best part of Charlie's Angels.
Wow.
A movie that I enjoyed. I will admit it was flawed, but I enjoyed Charlie's Angels, and a large part of that was Kristen Stewart. And I think Underwater could have easily been a forgettable B movie. And I mean, the direction is just solid anyways.
It's the script though. I mean, like the
script is fantastic.
It just bangs along.
But if you had the wrong lead actress in this, I genuinely think the movie would have sunk. No pun intended.
Oh, okay, there we go.
I think that Kristen Stewart absolutely boosts this movie to the, I hesitate to say masterpiece because it's to the B movie
echelon
that it is in now, because I really do believe that this is going to be one of those movies that while people have slept on it this year, they are going to discover in years to come. I think Underwater is going to stand the test of time and end up being something very akin to Alien, not just in style, but in how it's regarded as far as
I mean, it's
features.
probably the best underwater horror movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, name a better one. Leviathan? I mean, there's no way. I mean,
it's one of the best Lovecraftian movies ever made.
Yeah.
Easily.
I find this movie phenomenal. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I know I put it at number 7 on my list, but it could have easily been my number 1.
I mean,
you know,
I made my top 10, and I was like, okay, looking through all the movies I watched this year, and I'm like, I missed one, so I took my number 7 out and put Underwater in there instead because it had to be on my list.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect when I watched this a few weeks ago. It is on HBO Max, I believe, right now. That's where I watched it, but I didn't know what to expect. And when you get to that final 10 minutes, it's like, oh shit, we're in a Lovecraft movie. And you're like, okay, yep. And
I applaud you for avoiding
monster rules.
That monster does. Yeah. And for me, it feels like the ending of, like you said, you wanted her fighting Cthulhu type of thing. I'm like, no, I just want it to end. He wins. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks for humanity. This guy's probably coming to the surface next, and we're all fucked. So.
Oh my God. Well, and that's the thing too, is like it ends on that kind of triumphant note where she saves her crew, like the 2 remaining crewmates.
But this thing's still down there.
Sacrifices herself, right? And then the end credits roll, and basically more newspaper clippings show up saying, we're still gonna fucking dig in the ocean. It's like, what? Like, that is the biggest gut punch of the whole movie, is like that end credits hitting, and you're like, well, they're just sending another team of people down to get like annihilated.
To be fair, that does sound like human beings.
Well,
though.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a good gut punch because it's so realistic to the time we live in. But it's just, oh God, yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's a great choice.
All right, so that was where we at. Blake's number 3.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so
and
my number
3 was host.
Quickly before we move on, since we were talking about host, I pulled up Shudder's most watched and stuff of 2020. You're right; it is not on their most watched new movies. Mortuary Collection was their number 1, but the most reviewed movie on Shudder was Host.
Okay.
So,
weird.
Yeah.
Huh. That is weird.
Anyway, number 2.
All right. So my number 2.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I don't know if you guys have gotten to this one yet. I know, Blake, you said your wife wanted to see it with you, so you might not have gotten to it yet.
I have not
I know. Okay. I know what we're talking about now.
It is potentially one of my favorite new wave horror directors. Like, I love Chris Landon. It is his new slasher comedy, Freaky, starring Catherine Newton and Vince Vaughn. This is a body swap comedy that essentially reimagines Freaky Friday as a slasher. No, not quite. It reimagines the Hot Chick as a slasher. It's like if you watch the Hot Chick and
it's
you
that
thought,
bad, huh?
Huh?
It's that bad?
No, it's better than the Hot Chick. It's way better than the Hot Chick. But like, if you ever watched The Hot Chick and you were like, this would be so much better with more murder and gore,
nope.
This is the movie for you, man. Like, nope. I love it.
That's what I think about every time I've seen The Hot Chick.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because when you watch The Hot Chick, you want to murder someone.
It's Rob Schneider usually, but
yeah. This movie is just amazing. Catherine Newton plays this teenage girl, at least for a short time of the movie, who is just like sidelined by her classmates, not very well liked. She's the team mascot, and all that kind of stuff. You know, she's your typical, like, it's Catherine Newton who's gorgeous, but they like curl her hair and they put her in baggy clothes and like, she's a loser.
I'm surprised she didn't have glasses on.
Right? Like, So she one day, she gets stabbed with a mystical knife by Vince Vaughn's Blissfield Butcher, and instead of dying, they just swap consciousnesses. So she wakes up in the body of Murderous Vince Vaughn, and Murderous Vince Vaughn wakes up in the body of a teenage girl, straightens the hair, puts it back in a ponytail, gets a red leather jacket. All of a sudden, Millie's the hot girl at school, but the hot girl at school is murdering people, and now Vince Vaughn has to try and stop her with the face of someone who's on every wanted poster in the county. This movie is one of the most inventive slashers to come out of the last couple of years. The kills are creative. They're gory as hell. If you thought Happy Death Day was okay, but it could have used a harder edge to it, you will not have that problem with Freaky. I mean, it's so funny. You should literally read some of the Amazon Prime reviews that are giving this like 1 star. Like, so many people are calling it disgusting because the first like 5 minutes don't hold back. It is a straight up slasher movie in the first 5 minutes where the butcher's just dispatching teens in totally disgusting ways with like random household items. There's a nod to Halloween in this sequence, and later on there's like homages to like The Exorcist and The Shining and all these like awesome just little nods to horror films that if you like slashers, you're going to find so much in here. And it's not in like the Star Wars, like, oh look, it's R2D2 coming into the scene. Like, it's subtle, and it brings like, you're not gonna maybe catch it at first glance, but maybe if you're thinking about it later, you're like, oh my god, that shot was from The Shining. Like, just shit like that. I love this movie so much, guys. Like, this honestly almost was my number one. I think we all know what my number one is going to be now, but
I don't know. I have a clue.
Oh, seriously? Okay. Wow. You guys are going to be pleasantly surprised then.
Or unpleasant.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't watched this yet. This has been on my watch list. I cannot put out the $20 to rent something right now.
I've seriously considered spending $20 to rent it, just because I want to see it again so bad. I love this movie. It is one that I will go back to the well for multiple times. Like, this is definitely going to be a yearly watch for me.
Is this a better Vince Vaughn slasher than the one we talked about last time?
Oh my God, miles better than that movie. That movie's a wonderful train wreck that I love watching purely for the fact that, like, how the hell, like, what the hell is this movie? The Freaky is just, it's Christopher Landon's best work. And this is coming from someone who loved Scout's Guide, who loved both of the Happy Death Day movies, who tolerated the Ghost Dimension Paranormal Activity or whatever.
Oh, he did that one. That's right.
But he also wrote Paranormal Activity 3, so we can forgive him at least partially.
We ride hard for Paranormal Activity 3 on this show.
Paranormal Activity 3, 100% approval rating from the SlashLot crew.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it is your turn.
My number 2 is kind of also Lovecraftian.
Ooh, your number 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
You liked Fantasy Island that much?
Yeah. My number 2 is The Beach House. It's the movie that sort of like really stuck with me the most throughout the entire year in terms of like imagery and just a sense of like every few weeks I'd be like, what was that about? What was happening in that movie? Like what? And there's so the movie is about this young couple. I think they're in college, and they're on like one of either the boyfriend or the girlfriend. They're I think it's the boyfriend. His dad owns the house, this beach house it's East Coast somewhere like Connecticut or Maine or something. And they go to this house and they're gonna stay there for the weekend, and all of a sudden this older couple comes in and makes themselves at home, and they find out that they're like family friends of the dad, and they had no idea that each other were gonna be there, and they end up having like dinner together. They end up getting drunk together and taking some drugs. And I believe it's the old man just kind of like wanders off into the night. And they go out looking for him. And then all of a sudden, like this, it's kind of like the mist, like this fog comes in and like things start to happen where they can't explain. But there's like this dysphoria happening. Like there was a lot of confusion. And then like the old woman disappears, and then like the next day they wake up and they're like it's all like the sun's shining and they like it's kind of like normal, and then they go to the beach and like it's almost like there's like these pods from Invasion of the Body Snatchers just on the beach lined up, and you're like, what is this? And then I think something happens to the boyfriend. I can't remember what. And then like the girlfriend, the woman steps on one of these things and like cuts her foot, and she has to like crawl up these steps back to the beach house, and like you're feeling like every like pull and like every movement she has to do, like you really feel that. And then there's this incredible sequence where she has to pull this like worm out of her foot, and like it looks real.
It is disgusting.
It looks like she's, and like I'm not talking like she's pulling this worm out. She's like, it's like she has to like yank it out of her foot, and so that's really disgusting. And then like I don't know, is it an alien invasion? Is it like a earthly catastrophe? They never explain what's really happening. Like natural disaster. Like it turns out like they can't breathe the smoke in, and the smoke comes back in at night, and then it kind of turns into like this David Cronenberg like body horror movie where like this person's completely turned into like the subhumanoid thing with like skin falling off them, and like they look like this big booger, like this big snot bubbles. Booger, yeah. And the movie just kind of ends. But it's wow. Like nothing else came out this year like it, like nothing else. And while like I wish this was like 6 hours longer. Like the pacing is really cool. It's a little slower pace, but you're really getting a lot of information in terms of like visually what's happening. In terms of like what you figure out, like you don't. There's a great sequence where like her and her boyfriend try to escape, and like they're in this truck, and she's like turning the knob, and like there's like this emergency service going like, don't breathe the air, and then they gotta like cover their faces, and she's trying to like carry her boyfriend and like shove him up a window while she's like covering her face. And there's just a lot of really great filmmaking in this. Like it doesn't work entirely for me because of, like you don't really know what ends up happening, but I really dig this. The images have really stuck with me the entire year. A lot of really cool callbacks to other horror films, like I said, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and some Cronenberg stuff, even some like Carpenter vibes. Like the sequence at night, like there's this like heavy fog, and then like the bright lights of a truck are like blinking. It's like the fog's getting lit. Like the fog. It's just getting lit up, and so I really dig this movie a lot. And I wish Andy the fat dude like infamously hates this movie, so I really want to talk to him sometime about why he didn't like it. But I really like this movie a lot.
I have a small confession to make about this one. I started watching it because you had sung its praises. Both you and Casey enjoyed it, and I made it about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes in.
You gotta get past like the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, and I knew you had said it was slower pace, but at the time I was just looking for something just...
You were waiting for the crazy of the second half.
Right, like,
yeah.
I was ready for some just dumb, chaotic fun. And so I stopped it and I put on Chopping Mall. I will get to it eventually.
Sam, you need to make a letterbox list of movies you've stopped and then watched Chopping Mall.
I'm almost embarrassed.
Movies I have not finished after putting Chopping Mall on halfway through.
I'm almost embarrassed to make that list because there's a lot of them.
I was surprised it was this high for you.
It just stuck with me.
Yeah, it was an honorable mention of mine too. And I mean, it's crazy that you've played all three Lovecraft style.
It's the year of Lovecraft for me, I guess.
And I have a feeling I know what your number one is, and it would make a great double feature with, I think, your number one, at least maybe an honorable mention of mine. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it. Yeah, this is a wild movie. I think I need to rewatch it because I think there's a lot of character stuff in the beginning I didn't pick up the first time, where each, like, the husband and the wife, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, they all feel like archetypes, and they feel like they have very different worldviews, all four of them. It's a very interesting concept between all those. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about our movie nights. I mean, this and Color Out of Space would make a bonkers, crazy movie night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an honorable mention of mine, and yeah, I think it is one of the best of the year.
What I'm getting from this episode is we just need to have more movie
Yeah,
nights.
I agree. Fuck the state.
We need more. We need more movie nights, and Hollywood needs to make more Lovecraft.
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
And give Christopher Landon more money.
My number two.
I believe
Number
so.
two.
We might have to bump it to Sam's number one because my number two is Lee Winnell's The
Bump it.
Invisible Man.
I forgot about this movie.
Bump it.
Oh, this movie didn't even make my honorable mentions.
Bump it.
So let's bump it to Sam's number. Sam, what's your number one?
My number one is Fantasy Island.
Oh,
No, I'm just messing. My number one is obviously, yes, Lee Winnell's The Invisible Man.
How did I forget about this movie?
I don't know.
When you were like, I have no idea what your number one is, I'm like, Blake, what the?
Ah,
I was
I
literally like,
dude, and the weird, I love this movie.
this.
I have
movie-
I went back through my list 3 times to make my list of my favorite movies of the year, and I didn't notice it every single time.
Oh my god. So
At
I
least
was-
we're talking about it.
I was super.
2020 was a year, let me tell you. Sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
You're good. I was super biased going into this movie because I love Lee Winnell, especially like Upgrade was one of my favorite movies of 2018.
Was my number one up to 2018?
It was, I think it was top 3 for me, honestly. I loved that movie, and I love the classic Universal monsters. And The Invisible Man from 1933 is just one of my absolute favorites. So I'm, and then you put Elizabeth Moss in that. I literally said before 2020 that if I only got to see one movie in the theater, that it would be Lee Winnell's The Invisible Man.
And little did you know it almost was.
And it really almost was. It was about a month after this movie came out and everything started shutting down. I'm like, oh my God, did I do this? But no, this movie was worth every bit of hype I put into it. It not only met my expectations, it exceeded them. I've watched this movie countless times this year, and there are still jump scares that regardless of how many times I've seen it, they still get me like it's the first time. The first time I watched it at home, I saw it twice in the theater. And the first time I watched it at home, the paint scare made me audibly scream. Like I knew it was coming, and it was just,
I had no idea.
I got it spoiled by
It's in the.
I didn't watch the trailer. Yeah.
And I'm sitting like, it was probably my fault because I was sitting about as far from the back of this computer here as I was to my TV screen. And when it happened, it just looked like he was fucking in front of me, and I just freaked.
Yeah.
Like I jumped back, I threw my French fries that I was eating. Like it was insane. The restaurant scene, I don't even like. Lee Winnell is a genius.
It's one of the most unpredictable scenes of the year. I did not see any of that coming, honestly.
I don't understand how he constructed some, like how he came up with this in his mind and then thought, I'm going to execute this essentially pretty perfectly. Like the use of negative space in every frame is terrifying. Every scare works. Elizabeth Moss just gives the most powerhouse performance of the year. And honestly, she's if Carey Mulligan hadn't come out in Promising Young Woman this year, like Elizabeth Moss would hands down be my favorite.
We have a fight for. We actually have an argument to be made for a lead actress now.
Yeah, for sure. Because before Promising Young Woman, it was hands down Elizabeth Moss. Hands down.
Okay.
Hands down. Wait, is it Borat 2?
Mm.
I haven't seen it, so I guess I can't speak on that. But no, this movie, I love it with every fiber of my being. It was the last movie that I saw in a crowded theater because Sonic wasn't super crowded.
The real number one horror movie of the year. I've never seen it, so I'm just a joke.
I enjoyed it. It was dumb, but it gave me nostalgia feels. But yeah, I saw it. Like, I don't think there was an empty seat in that theater, and I saw it next to this teenage girl that clearly didn't appreciate it, and I just thought, oh, like horror movies are wasted on the youth, you know? Like, I
which is funny because they're
old man.
aimed at them.
Yeah. I know. I feel like a grumpy old man when I say this, but like, I mean, the teenagers that were next to me just didn't even like understand the ending, and I'm like, the ending's pretty cut and dry here. Like, what? And that's why I had to see it again in theaters, because I was like, I need to see it with people who are intelligent enough to understand what the ending is. But anyways, that's petty grievance. I love this movie, guys.
Yeah.
It is every bit as successful as Upgrade as far as story and use. Like, Lee Winnell is like John Carpenter in the fact that he makes his budgets look fantastic.
Yeah.
I genuinely would put, even after just, I mean, I know he did Insidious 3.
Which is his highest budgeted movie.
Yeah. But
Just
to
wild.
me, like, his real directing career starts with Upgrade. And even after those like 2 movies, and that's not to discredit his work on Insidious 3, but after these 2 movies that he did with Upgrade and The Invisible Man, I am willing to put him up in the echelon with like John Carpenter as a horror great.
I'm not there yet, but
no, I'm not. He's in the echelon of Mike Flanagan for me, where he's a guy where he's like, no matter what he's going to put out from now on, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
I love this movie for since February when this came out. I was like, okay, that's my number one. Maybe something will top it throughout the year, and then 2020 happened.
Yep.
But it stayed atop my end of the year list until the last month of the year.
I think I know what you guys are playing.
Yeah, but that doesn't discredit this. I think this is a fantastic movie. Elizabeth Moss is incredible. This is the right way to do a remake of a classic horror film. It is completely revitalizing the story that this came from. This has nothing to. If you watch this and the 1930s Invisible Man back to back, there's no real connection between the two besides there's an invisible person in the movie. And the way they go about how the person becomes invisible is very different in both of them. Mm-hmm. But it's still terrifying the way Lee Winnell uses empty spaces, even if in the actual, in the world of the movie, if no one's there, it's still scary that there's an empty space and the camera just lingers on it. Mm-hmm. You never know what's happening right there. I loved this movie. I think it's one of the best movies of the year, period. Not just horror. And we talk about movies of 2020. I think The Invisible Man still stays in there as one of the movies to talk about when you talk about this year.
Yeah, I don't know how I forgot about this movie. I really don't, because I liked it. I mean, not as much as you guys, but I think I give it like 4 stars. And we haven't even discussed how this is like an allegory for women dealing with abuse from men, and how that never goes away, and how it's always there, like that violence and that mental stress is always there in the background for women who get abused by men who are either physical or emotional or both, and how that plays into this, like, the concept of, like, there's scenes where like Elizabeth Moss is just scared by I mean, she's obviously being how would you say it, like terrorized by this person, but like the fact that no one can see it, we're made to believe that it's just her dealing with traumatic memories, and the way that is played with in this movie with the directing is just, it's like it's a perfect mix of like of a Hollywood classic horror, but like actually saying something and having like giving a thought to the audience to be like, well, what if you thought about this? And I mean, the restaurant sequence is great. I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer because the attic paint sequence made me jump out of the seat. Elizabeth Moss is great. I met like the ending isn't great to me. Like it's a little like, okay, whatever. But like I get like it doesn't ruin the movie for me. Like I think it's a very, very strong effort. I like Upgrade a lot more, but this is still this is probably a better directed movie than Upgrade is. Upgrade is just so much more fun for me. Like better Tom Hardy is just really good in that movie. And
I think 100% if you're looking for fun, Upgrade is your
but like this is a better directed movie. Like Lee Winnell like took his directing like little like nods and winks, and like we're like, all right, I know what to do with this. The sequence where like he's attacking the prison is a little like too Predator for me, but like it's still fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little too like, where is he? Like it's a little too like action movie for me.
That feels like the Upgrade scene.
Yeah,
it is like him integrating.
Yeah, and I didn't like that as much as other people. Like, but at the same time, I had fun with like him trying to get to Elizabeth Moss, or I forget exactly what was happening. But like that whole sequence is a lot of fun, and it's raining, and then like she can see like that. That whole stuff is great. Like it really felt like Lee Winnell was like given the project and was like, I'm going to spend every waking minute and I'm going to figure out how I can convey to the audience camera movements, like blocking and setting up scenes to like scare the audience as much as I can, to like set up where the Invisible Man could be. Like I really felt like he put everything he had into this, and it paid off in spades. Mm-hmm. Like this is one of the best Hollywood thrillers in a long time. Like this is a really, really good movie. And if they ever do some sort of like connected universe with Karen Kusama's vampire movie or whatever, Dracula, yep. And then God forbid whatever else they do, like I mean, this like they got to have Lee Winnell involved somehow, because
I think he's already, I can't remember what property he signed on to, but I'm pretty sure they're already tapping him for a different Universal.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is just.
Yeah,
this is a great movie. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's. I think the biggest strength of the movie is like the 1933 Invisible Man, and I mean the H.G. Wells novel itself. They focus on the titular Invisible Man. It focuses on the villain. It is the villain's story, and what Winnell did was he gave agency to not the victim, but the survivor of the villain.
Yeah.
And I think in taking that angle, he not only made it socially relevant, he made it it might be blasphemous, but he made it a better story.
Again, this is a Me Too movie without being like, Me Too, Me Too, men suck. Like
in a lesser movie, it would have opened with like her verbally
or
physically getting abused.
Yeah.
The opening is just her, just the fact of her trying to leave. You understand the situation she's in.
Yeah. Because she's terrified of him immediately.
And I mean,
when she kicks that dog bowl, it's like, oh god.
Watching that in a theater is
yeah.
And like it just, I don't know how many times you guys have seen this.
Once.
I've probably watched it 4 times this year, and it holds up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this again
it
because
just does.
Yeah,
I still get as tensed up watching it now as I did that first time.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's
like
so well done.
There's just sequences where the camera like literally just will like Elizabeth Elizabeth Moss will go to sleep, and the camera will just move to the door where the door's open, and it'll pause, and then it'll just move to like an ottoman, and then just stay there, and then it'll go back to the bed, and you're like, what the hell is that? And then you're like, is he in there? And then you're paranoid because you don't. And then the great thing is like he's not there to just attack her. He's there to make her life hell, and he does. Like he doesn't attack her every scene. He doesn't scare her every scene. He is there to like leave like a footprint, like an invisible footprint. Like I'm always going to be here. Mm-hmm. And the thing is like, yeah, he kills her or she kills him in the end, but like he's always going to be there. Yeah. Like that echo of him was always going to be there for her, whether they make a sequel or not. You know, like she's walking out of that house, and the trauma she experienced, like it'll always be there. Yeah. And I think that's the point of the movie is that never leaves. I can't forgot to mention this movie.
It's okay. We got you, Blake.
All right, let's go to Blake's number one then.
It was your number one?
That was my number one, yeah.
I guess my number one is the same as yours. The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Which was my number 4, but could have very easily been number 1.
Yeah.
Gosh, this movie is so much fun. I'm actually kind of just gonna turn this over to Casey. This is like a people are comparing this to Fargo, and I don't like that comparison because I didn't get that comparison. But this
it's snowy
it's about this cop who is he's either an alcoholic or he's like an alcoholic anonymous, where he's getting there, he's getting treatment, he's getting help, and he's dealing with the stress of his dad possibly dying, dealing with more responsibility. Like I'm assuming he becomes the chief of police. He's dealing with marital issues. His daughter hates him, she's a teenager. And he has to deal with all this stress while possibly a werewolf is killing people in this time. Have you seen this, Sam? Okay. That's right. Yeah.
This was my number 4.
So,
I love this movie.
yeah. So he has to deal with all this while possibly a werewolf is killing people very violently in this small town. Boy, there's stuff in this movie where there's so much going on in one scene, like tonally, that I don't know how it works, but it does. Like Jim Cummings is like this erratic like man child where like you're laughing at him, but everybody else in the scene is playing it straight. And it normally it'd be like, why is half of this doing this, but he's doing this, and it's not the same movie, but somehow it works. Somehow it works, and like every sequence, every scene's a live wire because you never know where Jim Cummings is going to go. And this isn't going to get any Academy Award nominations, which really sucks because I think he should get one for Best Actor. And I nominated it pretty much across the board for my Schmuckies nominees. I love this movie. Casey will speak a lot more eloquently about this, but I just think this is just a stunner of a movie. And I need to go watch Thunder Road because it really feels like this is the emergence of a new talent that is going to be like the Hollywood thing. And I hope I'm right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is so like I said, The Invisible Man for the longest time was my favorite movie of the year. And then I saw Soul. I'm like, okay, that's my favorite movie of the year. And then I believe it was probably the next night or within a few days, I watched The Wolf of Snow Hollow. I'm like, no, nothing is going to top this. And I know that now. This is a perfect movie to me because it has everything I love in a movie. I mean, I watched Thunder Road a few weeks ago before I watched The Wolf of Snow Hollow. And I mean, I love Thunder Road. Thunder Road is very much similar in tone as this, where it does the mixture of real life drama and everything that character is going through. He's dealing with the death of his mother that had a very strained relationship, and dealing with that movie too. He's dealing with raising a daughter, and with him and his wife are going through a divorce. But that one doesn't have a werewolf in it, and this one does. And I think that's one thing people have definitely compared it to is like, it's Thunder Road with a werewolf. I'm like, it is, but he's playing a very different character this time around. He's still very erratic, has kind of that sporadic behavior, but I think that's just the power Jim Cummings brings as a director, writer, and an actor, doing all of his own work. He feels like the most real creator out there, the most real filmmaker, because everything that he puts into his movies, it feels like real life, because real life has within moments of laughter or comedy or drama or heartbreak, it all has that rolled into one. We're dealing with that all the time, and that's what his movies feel like. It's never a straight comedy, it's never a straight horror movie, it's never a straight drama, it's never a straight romance or anything like that. It has all these elements, and he plays one of the greatest magic tricks in this movie, is combining all of those, sometimes within a single scene. And I think it just works so well in everything he has done. And I mean, yeah, I love everything this movie is bringing up. It's dealing with a lot with male mental health in this movie, because he's a character that just will not let himself break in anything that's going on. He's going, obviously, like we said, he's going through, he's a recovering alcoholic. He's dealing with knowing his dad will probably die at any day just because of his health. And that's something that's constantly weighing on his mind. Again, his characters that he plays are just the most real characters I've seen on screen and out of any movie ever. I mean, it feels so real, everything that he goes through. And yeah, I love the use of a werewolf in this movie. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for people what the werewolf is, but the way it thematically ties into his character arc, I find very poetic and just works so well in the story that Jim Cummings is telling. I think he is, for me, he's, like I said with Lee Winnell, he's a guy I'll watch anything he makes, but Jim Cummings to me is like the gold standard of what I want movies to be from now on. Like, he is that guy for me. He has everything going for him right now. I honestly don't want him to break into Hollywood, like as a studio director, because he's not going to make Thunder Road or The Wolf of Snow Hollow. And I want him to continue to make movies like that. And yeah, this is a movie I rented, and I immediately regret renting it because I want to buy this movie. I want to own this movie. This needs to sit on my shelf. And yeah, this is my favorite movie of the year, period. Yeah, and I know you guys loved it too. So I mean, we've all sung its praise.
Yeah. And like we kind of mentioned, he's a great horror director too. Like the sequence where the girls leaving the ski lodge.
Yeah, it's
and
terrifying.
Yeah. And then the sequence where we're well into the third act, and he's at the location and he's piecing it together, and you're like,
it's the Zodiac basement scene
he's figuring it out, and then like that guy is there. Like, it's just
the thing that got me was the camera.
Yes. Yeah.
That reveal where it's just the camera literally just moving straight up.
Yeah.
You're like, nope.
It really is the Zodiac basement.
Basement scene. Yeah.
And then there's just one shot that just, God, it's gorgeous. It's the one with the woman with her kid in the car. And she gets out of the car to go check on the deer, and she turns around and you see the wolf rise up silhouetted against the moon. I'm just like, that is a gorgeous shot. Like, oh my God. And it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like, this movie, it's 100% one of the best of the year. And it's like you said, it deals with like male mental health and just these ideas of what being a man should be. It's very much touching on that like toxic masculinity of like, well, if you're a man, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do this. You need complete control over everything. And realistically, that's just not going to hold up.
Yeah.
I think that's what this movie really portrays well. I mean, even down to the final shot.
I was going to say that's exactly where I was going. Is he's dropping his daughter off at college, and you see these boys like checking her out, and he wants to step in as the dad and be like, that's my daughter. You guys don't say that, but then that feels like his character is finally growing because an hour before that he would have flipped on these kids. It would have been hilarious for us to watch because it's Jim Cummings has a fantastic way of exploding on people, but it feels like his character has gone through the arc where he knows like these. It feels like his character is like I was them at one point, and they need to go through what I went through and grow and mature. And God damn it, I love this movie.
This movie is fantastic. Like I said, even though it was at number 4, it could have easily gone up to
I look back at like my when I make like my favorite lists, my list of favorite movies of the year. Like generally, my movies at like 1 or 2, like spots 1 or 2. Are always movies I don't even know that exist until I see them.
Yep.
And this is one of them where I was like, oh, Jim Cummings, that sounds familiar. And then I watched it and I'm like, this isn't like, so I had this thing where if it's late at night, like let's say post 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I start a movie, I know that I'm going to start it and be like, I'm watching 40 minutes and I'm going to bed and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to finish it just because I know I'll be tired. I started this and like I slowly rose up from the couch and like was just like watching it till like 12:30 in the morning, and I'm like, am I high or is this really good? And I wasn't high, but so I love getting surprises. I love finding that movie that I'd never heard about or didn't know existed, and then I watch it and I'm like, this is my movie, and this is my movie. I love it.
You guys got to watch Thunder Road.
I really do want to watch it after this. The only reason I watched Wolf of Snow Hollow is because of your recommendation on it, honestly.
It's good.
I was just like, I'd never even heard of it. And then I was like looking into it. I'm like, Jim Cummings. I'm like, I mean, Jim Cummings to me is the voice of Winnie the Pooh. I didn't realize there was a different Jim Cummings, you know?
Yeah.
And God. This movie just
this movie rocks.
I bought it because I remember asking you, is this a rental or a buy? And you gave me a super vague answer that I didn't appreciate.
I don't remember how I watched this, but I watched it. Like so VOD probably. Yeah.
So I chalked up the $15. I bought it on Vudu and I watched it on a Friday night. I woke up the next Saturday and like 8 o'clock in the morning watched it again because I was like, I need to absorb this. You know, it wasn't one that I was just like okay watching once and then just being like, because I've never seen anything like that before. Yeah. You know,
Thunder Road's on Prime, by the way.
It is. Yeah,
I might have to watch that very quickly here. So
again, and he knows we talked about this with Host. We need more 90-minute movies. He stays in that 90 minutes.
I think it's like 85 minutes or something. It's like an hour and 20.
Not an ounce of fat on
and it's a live wire every minute of it. I mean, it's just like the scenes are alive with his his acting and other, like we didn't even mention Robert Forster's in this and
his last it's his final movie.
And it's such a bittersweet performance because
it's very poetic movie for him to be his final film.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a great final
it's a
film.
movie that feels like poetry in many ways. With the werewolf.
Also that opening scene with Jimmy Tatro is just
okay. Before we move on, that's the kid from the Netflix
American Vandal,
right?
Yep.
Okay, yep. I didn't know he was in that.
He was also in 22 Jump Street.
I didn't know that. I'm like, that's the kid who drew dicks on cars in that Netflix documentary.
And he's really
he is pretty good in this movie. Yeah,
like I was expecting him to be his typical Jimmy Tatro self, like he is in Stuber, and then he actually kind of pulls back some layers and like I'm like, oh shit, like this guy can act. So,
all right. Should we run through our honorable mentions very quickly? We're running on almost 3 hours. It's a long show.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So I'll start.
Okay.
Honorable mentions. I'll throw this one out there. Why not The New Mutants. I kind of liked this movie. I thought it was fun.
I will never watch it.
I never saw it. It'll eventually make its way across my eyes, I'm sure.
Another one, The Cleansing Hour, Shudder original movie. Yeah, I thought this movie was a blast. I thought it was really scary, had some great visuals to it. Again, used all of its budget perfectly. Yeah, it feels like it would make a great double feature with Grave Encounters, which
my ears perked up.
We ride hard for on this show. Yeah, Cleansing Hour. One that I thought would make Sam's list, The Babysitter Killer Queen, was the sequel I thought Sam was referring to earlier.
I didn't care for it as much. It didn't even make my honorable mentions.
Oh,
yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Another one that I loved. I don't know if I would put it on a top 10 because it is not necessarily a movie. It's just more of a visual experience. Blood Machines on Shudder, which I think, did you watch, Blake?
Yeah, that's not very good.
I don't like it.
It is very strange. It's not for everyone. Like I said, it's not really a movie.
I admire it.
It's just a visual experience. One that I am...
Score is the best part.
It is easily the best part. One I am shocked Blake did not put on his list. The Vast of Night.
I don't count it as a horror movie.
Okay.
I just watched that today because I thought one of you would put that on your list.
I didn't put it on my list because I thought it was going to be on Blake's.
It will make a list of mine, trust me.
Yeah.
I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
I watched it today, and honestly, I put it on my list, and then I put it in my honorable mentions because I'm like, is this just recency bias? But I do really like that movie.
I don't think it's a horror movie, like in any regard. So
yeah, it's thriller-ish.
Well, maybe not.
Suspense.
Maybe
I
not
think
in
it's a
any
horror
regard. I just there wasn't enough for me. I thought about it. I did, but it was
feels
like
a throwback 50s
science
style
fiction.
sci-fi
Yeah.
horror movie.
Yep.
That and The Beach House is what I was referring to would make a great double feature from this year.
Yeah.
One that I swapped out for Underwater because I forgot about Underwater, and then I'm like, oh, I need to have that in my top 10. We Summon the Darkness. I don't know if you guys watched that at all.
Nope.
Alexandra Daddario.
I did. I didn't care.
Didn't care for it? Yeah.
It was okay.
I thought it was a lot of fun. It's one I'll probably pop on every couple years, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Had a great time with it.
It ran out of steam for me about halfway through, and I don't know. I liked it. It just wasn't.
It was what I wanted Satanic Panic to be last year.
It was way better than Satanic Panic. I'll give you that.
And I don't want to crap on the movie because I was very much looking forward to that one, but that's kind of the movie I wanted, and I'm glad I got it this year at least.
I'll crap on Satanic Panic.
My final one, I have it as an honorable mention, but it would make my top 5 easily. But it's not a horror movie; it's a documentary, which is Scream Queen: My Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yes,
That could have counted.
I thought about it.
Put that on mine too.
But it's a documentary; it's not a horror movie. Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of this year. It's about Mark Patton, the actor from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and how that basically just that performance changed his entire life. There's a lot of things I didn't know, like he didn't live in the country for a long time, still
He lives in Mexico.
doesn't,
Yeah.
which is insane. Yeah, I love this documentary. I wish I wish the State Theater was open last year because we could have got Scream Queen with A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Like that seems like something they would have pulled off, which is I think a great double feature to have. But yeah, that's one of my favorite movies this year.
Yep. As someone who really, really likes A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, like top 3 Elm Street movie for me, I love that movie. It's fantastic. So.
What's your guys' honorable mentions?
Some of mine were already said, so I've got 3 left. The Shudder original Scare Me.
Didn't watch that one yet.
It's about 2 people that meet up. They're both writers. One of them is successful, one of them is not, and they just happen to be renting cabins next to each other, and they challenge each other to basically scare each other with stories that they're telling. It's super low budget. It's not like other anthology films in the fact that like it's literally just them telling the stories almost like improv show style, and it's enhanced by like sound design and sound effects and things like that. Some of it falls a little flat for me, but just the idea and the execution is inventive enough to where I was like, this is interesting and unique, and I liked it a lot. It also, kind of like The Wolf of Snow Hollow, touches on things like masculinity and things like that. It's an interesting movie, and it's got a pretty funny little. It's a little more than a cameo from Saturday Night Live's Chris Redd, who I really enjoy. Another honorable mention. I didn't put it because it's not straight up horror, but I really like The Hunt, mainly because Betty Gilpin is fantastic in that movie.
Schmucky nominee.
Yeah, Schmucky nominee. She's amazing in that. She's the main reason to watch that movie, but it is a pretty entertaining little action flick. And then my last honorable mention was Random Acts of Violence, which is Jay Baruchel's Shudder original. Not quite successful enough in what it tries to do, and the fact that it tries to question why we like gory, trashy horror movies before kind of just devolving into a gory, trashy horror movie itself. Mm-hmm. But as someone who likes gory, trashy horror movies, I can't say I didn't enjoy it. It's got some good set pieces, some really cool lighting and framing and things like that. And so I liked it enough to at least give it an honorable mention. So
I have one honorable mention. I just watched this past week. It's not quite a full-on horror. It's horror adjacent. It's Justin Moorhead and Aaron Moore's Synchronic, which is more science fiction than it is horror, but like there's some horror filmmaking in it, which I really liked. It's about these two ambulance drivers who have been friends for decades, and one of them encounters like this life-changing thing that will it might kill him, and then they end up finding this drug that if you take it wherever you are, it just takes you back into a different year in that spot. Like like you take this drug and wherever you're sitting, you go back to like 300 years in that same spot, and you're just in that year. And so there's a lot of like really interesting things with that. And there's the opening scene is like, it just literally just throws you in, and you're like, I have no idea what's going on. And there's some great like kind of scary sequences, and God, I can't think of the word, but like there's some really weird stuff happening in the opening sequences that are like I've never seen before, and that's what I really like about them, is that they make these movies that like no one's making, and they're able to take their vision, which is usually low budget, and they get all the money out of it. They made a horror movie a few years ago called Spring, about this kid who escapes the US he goes to Italy, this coastal town, and he ends up like falling in love with this woman who turns into a monster every once in a while. And so I really like them a lot. And again, I just saw it, and I don't love it as much as other movies, but like it's still interesting enough for me to be like, you need to see this movie. So I thought I'd put it in my honorable mentions. It's called Synchronic. Yep.
I was looking it up because it sounded familiar. It's got Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, he's really good, and the main actor in the 50 Shades of Grey movie, Jamie Dornan, he's really good in the movie. Like, yeah. So those two are like
amazing what actors can do when they're
yeah. And what's really cool is like their friendship is like it's like you're dropped in on this 20-year friendship, and you just believe it. Like they're just that good with each other, and it's just another great Anthony Mackie performance. So yeah, I it's like a mild recommendation. I don't love it as much as their other movies, but it's good.
All right.
Oh, I'm exhausted.
I am. Sweet. All right, should we wrap this thing up then?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Let's wrap her up.
All right. Want me to do it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know where I'm at anymore. So.
All right. If you enjoyed this 3-hour-long conversation, please check out us on anywhere you can find your podcast, really. We're on Anchor, Spotify, Google. We're on YouTube as well. So pretty much anywhere you can find your podcast, you can find this. SlashLot 605. Just type it in that search bar. You can find us. If you want to see us on social media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where we post our latest, movie news, reviews, articles, anything posted is there on Backlot 605 on all of those social media platforms. Do you guys want to share anything else? Any other final thoughts?
We have like 30 great movies you can watch based off these lists.
Yeah. Just watch all these movies.
Watch horror movies.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And request them at the State Theater.
Yes. I mean, if they play Wolf of Snow Hollow, I'm there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes. So yeah, that's been the show. If you liked it, please leave a comment. Let us know what topics you would like us to talk about. But I guess until next time,
Spooky later.
Spooky later.
Spooky later.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.